Rahubat Moisar, and welcome to another live reading. We're going to be continuing to read where we left off from Actual Fact, series number 45, entitled The Guidance. In our Lahaj, that would be Paa Taraq. All right. So before we get started, we're going to acknowledge ourselves and each other and our master teacher who brings us all together. All right. So let's start by first acknowledging yourself, and do that through your breath. All right. So you're going to stand up or sit down. All right. And you're just going to take a few deep breaths in, and you're going to assess, all right, how your body's feeling physically. All right. Where's there any tension in your body? Feel yourself breathe through it. Feel your shoulders and the tension in your shoulders. Feel it come down. Feel yourself relax. All right. Emotionally, what are you feeling? All right. Work through it. All right. If it's any negative feeling, work through it. Through your breath. All right. What's on your mind? Is it something focused on the future? Something that you're lingering on in the past? All right. Breathe through it and come here to the present. All right. With your fellow brothers and sisters. All right. And you're going to assess even how you're standing or sitting, or you're slouching. Where's your mentality? Feel yourself through your breath, straighten up, come into alignment with yourself. That's why we call it Samai, meaning the complete union, all right, through the various dimensions of yourself. Because we know that the breath itself is a gateway through your physical and your etheric reality, all right? So you can work a lot on your etheric body, right, with your physical body. All right. You're doing work on both sides through your breath. All right. And you're going to let your diaphragm move freely. The diaphragm is very important. It's a huge muscle. All right. Part of your respiratory system. And when you take a deep breath, it descends downward. All right. And your stomach should go out. So your lungs can fully expand downward, not just out. All right. Most of us in the West, we shallow breathe to some extent. Most people only mid breathe. All right. So we want to let the breath go down. And then the diaphragm acts like a vacuum, pulling air into the mid part of your lungs. And as you keep inhaling, the air starts to move up to the top part of your lungs. All right. And your stomach starts to go in to support that movement. So the breath is actually like a wave. And then you see that your breath is really paut, the all expanding. All right. As paut, as all. All right. So you feel yourself being at peace with yourself, accepting yourself. All right. Being connected to yourself in your many dimensions. All right. And it's all coming to your awareness and consciousness right here and now. And feel yourself become at peace with your fellow brothers and sisters, or with life itself. All right. So as you accept yourself, you accept life. All right. And it's various movements. All right. And it's all beautiful in its right place and time. Because why? You're in your right place and time. All right. And as we breathe for ourselves, we're breathing for each other. All right. Because we come into a same rhythm of natural nature. And that's what we're tapping into. We're tapping into Sakem, which is power, all right, which is life force, which permeates in all living entities, and it's abundant in the air. So you breathe in that love and support, healing and guidance from Paa Taraq, from natural nature. And you exhale that same support, healing, guidance, and love to your fellow brothers and sisters. All right? That's the proper way to breathe. And whenever you need help or support, you think of Paut and yourself right at the center. And you say, Apta Paa Taraq la yera wuk em Yaanun. Ata Pa Baabaa Yehu. And that says, open the way to the soul of Yanun. Open the door towards him. And we say Rawuk as the soul being the spark of life, the breath of life. All right. And you become a very conduit in the all. Yanun, the very soul of the people. All right. So we say Yanun, or O, inert one. O, us, because we see Noon is also for us. All right. And this is the chaotic waters that they say that we grew from. All right. So we're going back to our source. So whenever you need that support, you say, open the way to the soul of Yanun. Open the door towards him. All right. Notice an inwardness. All right. From Pa to Ta, that whole journey around this circle, back to the center. Notice that inwardness, that Ta, all right. That door, all right. So, love is the key. And we're going to acknowledge our master teacher, Baabaa Yaanun, who brings us all together for the purpose of healing our one collective story. That's our purpose, to heal our story on this planet and beyond. All right, because we are here to set the whole record straight. And everything that I shared, I got from the Breath book, one of my favorite scrolls. So when you have time, read that on your own. All right. And also from life and my own confirmations. And that's why I say, Adoy kala tapolorat wufa kor visamus pa paut. All right. Using the all expanding, you could start with your breath itself, because that's your first confirmation, is you. All right. So confirm yourself through your breath. The all expanding, all right, your smile breath, complete union, and allow yourself to breathe freely and be in the company of those that you can breathe freely around, all right? And you feel yourself creating this conduit, this circle of healing, all right, for you and your fellow brothers and sisters. And we welcome our master teacher into the center of this divine circle of healing as we come together, all right, with Baabaa as our nucleus, as we read these scrolls today, written by our teacher, Baabaa Yaanun, our master teacher. And we acknowledge our master teacher, we're acknowledging ourselves, who was sent for us, to us, all right, from us, back to us, all right. So this is the story about ourselves as one people. And we look at our master teacher as a living and breathing flesh and blood like us, example of our shook. And we acknowledge our Panadaru for sending us our master teacher for this day and time, for the purpose of healing our story. We accept our master teacher. We accept this healing. We accept this guidance. And we acknowledge, I acknowledge, that I'm in the divine love of the all expanding, and all divine love is in me. And that's why I say, Baror, 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 Nabab Natar Muqtar, Nahut Muqtar Badet Patah, Nahut Muqlas Badet Yanun. Holy, 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 Master Overseer Almighty, holy as in the holy seed, from the very forces of all existing gases, in all states, all times, all places. The holy seed, that's us. The whole story, the whole record, the whole people, our one over soul. Master Overseer Almighty, Almighty, as in omnipotent, omnipresent. Because what is greater than Pahut? What can you take from Pahut? Because where would you put it? That's the Almighty Overseer, Pahut. Nahutz Mugdad Baded Patah. Nahutz Muklas Baded Yaanun. No God except Patah. No Savior except Yaanun. Patah, the one who opens. It's time to open our mind's eye. All right. And the liberations of the minds and people, the hearts, souls, and minds. And we could all be activated as one collective body. So become a mukta, one who opens, because the helping hand is at the end of your own arm, because it is ashuk that is the key, but it is you who opens the door. And we cannot lie to ourselves. All right. No savior except Yanun, because you cannot lie to yourself. I affirm that I am in the divine love of the all expanding, and all divine love is in me. Anuki Jawef Pa Ashok M Pa Pahut. Wu Kalal Ashok Kawun Jawef Niya. Anuki Kasamun M Pa Pahut. Wu Pa Pahut Kawun Kasamun M Niya. Anuki Wahu Ame Pa Pahut. Wu Pa Pahut Kawun Wahu Ame Niya. Nako Kadod Naja Ame Kasam Em Pa Pahut. Wu Chabub Ame Mushkas Nakuk Kado Kawan Kalau Pafef Nakuk Ayo Jawef Pa Pahut. Ame Wase Ame Ayani Kawun Lake Bakor Jawef Pa Pahut. Anuki Abed Bi Nafashni Pa Pahut Kawun Anuki Pa Pahut Kador Nakuk Kador Pa Pahut Amul Nakuk Amul. The all is, I am. The all can, I can. The all does, I do. And we're going to chant today for them from us. Lahehu manehnu. As a reminder of who we are, not what we have become. All right, through our different movements, we still remember who we are. As we acknowledge our panataru, all right, the very forces of nature that animates our physical reality and everything that we have become. And that's why we say, they are me and I am them. Lahehum manehnun. Lahehum manehnun. Antum ate karedhum. Antum ate karedhum. Antum ate karednu. Antum ate jawef niya. Antum ate niyahu anukihu. Ya ye ashukreye. Ashmo jayehnu. Ya ye nataru alfuknu. Nahun atir mukrarukum. Ya ye nataru alfuknu. 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 Yayena Tarunu Anu Atu Atu Amu Tawakum Nadarunu for accepting us. We are you all's children. Tawakum for this guidance and this healing. And thank you for inviting us to return back to you, to return back to ourselves. And we accept this invitation. And the same way that we ask for your acceptance, we accept you. We accept this guidance and healing. We accept our master teacher who has incarnated for the purpose of us healing and correcting our stories and for this purpose of reformation. And we affirm that this book is the truth and the way. Paa Taraq. Hanin mispa kawun. Paa Taraq. Ze kawunana zulalahe amtkun. Mane masbatwu masa'a. Ama hadea mumudama'u. Mane musafuku. Munataru. Arjulaye nafashukum. Alfukshane kawunku. Paa Taraq. Pahadeamu padama. Nahun tawuantkum. Lahe panenda malu shafe. Nahun tawuantkum. Lahe tem nasoinu. Nahum tawuantkum. Lahe ashakuma. Antkum ater muslafunu. Nahun ater mukrarukum. Nahun salub nasar kuma. Nahun salub nasar kuma. Ansanun kahenataru. Ansanun muslafunu. Nahun ater muspatu. Anum atum atum amu. We are Sabians. Tawakum Nataru Wumuntaru. Tawatak Muntar Baabaa Yaanun in the personage of His Excellency Dr. Malachi York Okran and Tawakum Moisar, as we are doing our very best to transform into the very best versions of ourselves and our one collective body. And Tawakum to our Muslafu, our ancestors, for supporting us thus far, because we're still here. All right. And this is our scroll that we'll be reading today. Actual fact. All right. The guidance, Paa Taraq. All right. And we accept this guidance and this healing. A little bit about the author. All right. Who brings us the scroll of eyes. All right. For the purpose of opening our mind's eye, our miptah. All right. So now you see why it's called miptah. The root word is patah. All right. And we wear it right above our nose. All right. Because our nose also is a thing of opening. And we see Baabaa Yaanun, all right? Baabaa Yaanun, the master teacher, known to us as His Excellency Malachi Z. Kabina York O'Krine. Kabina means born Tuesday on June 26, 1945 AD in Ghana, Africa. Those are Baba's coordinates, and you see Baba tapping in to the very forces of natural nature to bring us our story. All right, one of Baba's hats that he wears is the transmitter. All right, same way that your cells transmit messages between each other. All right. So we're going to go right into where we left off yesterday. And I want everybody to feel free to participate, unmute, if anything, at any time you like to participate or say something. Feel free. All right. So let's continue where we left off from yesterday. All right. And how's everybody doing? It's great to see everybody here. Okay, let's get into our reading. So let's see where we want to start. So let's start on page 46, on verse 360. It is time to break their spell of Leviathan Kingu over you. Give back their religious beliefs and blind faith. 361. And those who won't let go of their pride and or Thawat's ego, just admit you were misled by misled leaders. A long time you devoted to Kadabat's lies, yet don't let your pride hold you back. Break away before you are handed over to flesh-eating beings pretending to be God, Allah, and Yahweh. All right. So we established that these extraterrestrial deities, those particular ones, weren't assigned to you. All right. They have their own Adamite creation for their own Adamite purposes. All right. And that story is not about you, and it's time to give it back. All right. Before you suffer the same fate that the Adamites are suffering. And go back to your natural ways, your natural protections. All right. And it's not God, it's not Allah, it's not Yahweh. All right. It's not Anunnaki either. All right. 364. We Munwapu Nuwapians aspire for our tribe and nation of people a wholesome Khatat body and Akal mind, enriched with the facts of our own story, our true past, and a pure heart. All right. There's so much. Now you see what we should be working on. All right. So what do we value? A wholesome body. All right. Wholesome mind. All right. Based in fact, a true past. All right. And a pure heart. And that's a little difficult sometimes because of everything that we've been through. But it's time to heal past that animosity. All right. We have to let it go so we can heal. All right. And we're not going to be trapped. All right. Because of things that we're having a hard time working through. So it's time to be working through and healing yourself. The purpose is to be rightly guided to our Maslafu ancestors, to live for, of, and by each other, by our own Kritarians or Kritarian, and to enter our own homeland, Nawapia. All right. So we have our own, to each his own. All right. So by our very makeup and very design, that's our goal, to get back to that. All right. And what's conducive, and get back to our own land. Speak our own Milsan tongue, Nuapui or Nuapic, to return to our heavenly abodes. A place beyond Sa'ah, Orion, and Sabatat, Sirius star system, to a place called Marsak or Rizq, amongst Pa Musaku, the Riskians, our paradise of abundance, Ganan, grace and eternal Hatat, bliss. All right. The root word of risk, Rasak, means to provide. All right. A lot of us have resorted to survival mode. All right. And living by instinct only. And it's just about taking and me only and me only. All right. We have to get back to learning how to live of and by each other. All right. And thinking of yourself as part of the bigger picture. All right. So it's in your best interest to look out for each other. All right. And that's the hearts, minds, and soul of a true Rasaku or Riskian. Or Murusak or Riskian, right? One who is a provider. So you have to be Shafuya, healed inside out and outside inward. Yet, when the impostors arrived, they blinded their inner eyes of those who could see and defiled those who were being healed. All right. So there's amongst us, as Bobby explained in the Bridge of Salvation, you have pretenders and you have people who are really here to heal. We're all side by side. All right. The reality is we're all mixed in together until the day of separation. All right. So you have those who they were healing, and then you have others who they just can't see or they're pretending, and they defiled those who were healing. All right. So let's read that again. You have to be shafura, healed inside and outside inward. Yet when the impostors arrived, they blinded the inner eyes of those who could see and defiled those who were being healed. All right. What's another way that sometimes people get blinded through trauma, right? Sometimes people make you angry, then they blind your inner eye. Now you want to get even, or whatever the case is. I'm using it as an example. And now you're distracted away the original journey that you were on. And now you become blinded as well. All right. That's why Baabaa was warning so much. Stop being distracted. All right. So 369. For Wunuwap brought back to mental life those who were mentally dead for 400 years from 1600 AD. Yet the deceivers commenced to spread their lies as the Sawab truth, false religions taught in the West to our people, a way to shield that their Pa Kakasnadu, the Caucasoids, Madama Adamites' real religion is Wiccan or Wicca. Additionally, Baabaa Yaanun, or Pa the Master Yaanun, was guided to guide the lost but now found tribe and bring them back to the way. Yet the impostors came along leading many astray. All right. I might not be the most fashionable sister. I'm using me as example. I mean, I can be, but fashion is just not something I really care about. I'm gonna be honest. All right. So I'd rather just put on, something presentable and read a scroll. And while I'm reading for the purpose of healing, these are jewels that I feel my soul needs. And I'm like, why don't I just share it? And then you have others that might jump in to just hyperfixate on my appearance. All right. To the fact to possibly want to distract the reading from taking place in the first place. All right. And hyperfixate, well, the sister maybe should dress a little nicer. All right. To read the scrolls. All right. Just as an example. All right. I would call that as an example of wanting to lead people away, but I don't have time to argue, so I just mute the conversation rather than argue so I can stay focused and finish reading the scroll. All right. But it can happen because now my ego's engaged. All right. And now I'm being distracted. Now my eye closes what I originally went there for. And now I can sit there and start arguing why I'm more special. And we could go back and forth. Why you're more important. Why I'm more important. Why I shouldn't be listened to. Why you should be. And now it's a whole mess. All right. But I'm not taking that bait. All right. So they accused myself of lying by announcing that I was inspired by those who mislead you. All right. So people come along, mix in with us, and then some even go on to slander Baabaa. All right. I remember another time Baabaa they kept accusing Baabaa of plagiarizing. So Baabaa, I like Baabaa's response. And Baabaa said, well, I don't write fiction. All right, I focus on facts. So how do you plagiarize a fact? All right, that shut down a lot of things. All right. So they have even accused myself of lying by announcing that what I was inspired by those who mislead them. What you now see from the year 2000 AD, that I bring a new decree unto you, unlike any taught before me. All right. So you can go back, even in the Holy Tablets, even before the Holy Tablets. All right. A lot what scientists are talking about now, and it's being on earth or revealed to the masses. All right. Not to say that no one knew, but it was kept away from the masses. Baabaa was coming to the masses. Is that no one was teaching that, all right, on a scale like Baabaa was. All right. That's why Baabaa says time. That's why Baabaa represents opening the seal. All right. He says time for the secrets to be secreted. All right. The secretions you're talking about is your very hormones. All right. It's time. That's why you have the double helix. I mean, not the double helix, the double ankh for the double resurrection for the minds and also the body. That's why we call this a DNA doctrine, because what happens, it activates parts of the genetics again. So certain parts of the genetics can turn back on. All right. And then you'll start to activate glands and hormones inside of yourself that takes you to other dimensions even. All right. So for example, you have your signals. So that's why we go and we learn that we have more than just 7 chakras. We actually have more like 9 chakras. All right. And where Baba said, like the Hindus, they depict it going up and down the spine, which that's great because they're aware of our nervous system, because our nervous system is very, very important, because your nervous system helps. That's the seat of the willpower. And that's where all processing of information goes. But it's the processor. It's not the actual seats. The seats are the actual glands. All right. So from your pineal gland to all your other glands. All right. So now you see that different parts of yourself that's been sleeping is being turned back on. All right. You get a genetic explosion. But it's time, it's also for you to keep that going. All right. So keep that momentum going. All right. So what you now see from the year 2000 AD, that I bring a new decree unto you, unlike any taught before me. Let it be known that I do not and did not teach from them, only study what you were being taught by many impostors who knew I was to come and only seek to misguide those who would listen. All right. So Baba's making it very clear, because sometimes in the past it looked like Baba was making his own new religion, but I'll take a little bit of this, I'll take a little bit of that, and create a new identity for my people. Baba explained that's not what he was doing. All right. He was giving people what they wanted. All right. Taking parts of the poison and going to study amongst them so he can pull them out. But what he really came to teach is the little jewels that he would put in throughout. All right. That's really what he came. So it's the other way around. All right. And then you had those that Bob is explaining that came to distract away, all right, from what Bob really came to teach. All right. And misguide those. So such a decree of bad Qadar fates is the inspiration of the wicked cursed devils and the rebellious who taught them their 6,000 years of Qadabat's lies. Had they brought forth wu-sabat as I have, that which I presented you of divine truth and the right guidance, you too would by now have been among the few chosen, called the purified ones, Pa Mukdashu. Yet instead, you have been on a corrupted path of their own religions, making you a slave to spook gods and false teachings of Za'am religion by those who accepted and listened to lies and fiction. And you are blinded by taqaq, faith, of those who have been misguided, and among those who only hinder your efforts to reach Wunawat. All right. So there's still a block, as Baba had drawn in another scroll. He showed that there's a block. All right. And a lot of us are still under Zupu. We think that we under Nupu, but there's a lot of blocks. All right. That's why Baba said that when people are saying that they woke, he had to explain that's not how waking up works. And then you could look at the circadian rhythm, that you have more active times, more conscious times. All right. So there's many, many layers and dimensions. All right. Many layers of the spell. All right. And a lot of us, we prefer the fictions over the facts. All right. Because the reality is, if we preferred the facts, we would have had the pickup. All right. So there's things that we're still working through. All right. To overcome. All right. So 379, causing you to descend into a deep level of despair. The race of devils and those sub-races who support Pa Kakasnadu, the Caucasoids, made your evil deeds look attractive. The wild evil is fun. Drugs are fun. Lust is fun. Finding your own is fun. All right. Granted, let's do a checklist. Okay, you don't do drugs. Great. But a lot of us, we're very lustful. All right. A lot of us, we go create other social medias to attack each other. All right. Fighting your own is fun. All right. And we twist it. We do a mental gymnastic to make it seem like it's okay. All right. They made evil look as if it was good for you, and no one will overpower you. If you have wealth, money is power. Go out and get it by any means necessary. All right. So a lot of people, they justify doing many evil things because they say, well, money equals power. All right. And it's bad if you did it, but, well, it's different when I do it because I did it for this reason. All right. So a lot of us kind of explain away our own evils. All right. Then they trap you and jail you, put a mark on you, a prison number marked for life. Thus, you trusted the lies and mistrusted the truth. You ended up following the path of the misguided. You have become evil with them, yet still claim to be counted amongst the good persons on Taha earth. You have transformed yourselves into black devils, preaching and teaching his evil ways, shielded as religion. A shelter for lies, untruth, fornications, murderers, and unholy bodies. Moreover, you have become as they, human beasts with animal instinct in your ka spirit. All right. What's animal instinct? It's about self-preservation. All right. At any cost. All right. Whereas when you live by soul, it's about self-preservation within powers. All right. So you place your divine time in place in all. So it's no way that you can, when you're living by soul, you're considering yourself in the whole, in the collective. So there's no way that you can do something, affect something over there and not see the connection to yourself. All right. But when you have been disconnected, now it's just all about you at the cost of whatever. All right. And you'll have to live with that consequence. So you have planted the roots of bitterness in your Aabat's hearts. Then you stilled your Akalat's minds up with hostility and animosity for others. Another thing Baba has said a few years ago, he said that uh, he had got approached and he was like, uh, it was like he was reporting, I guess, what's going on, what he sees. And it was a discussion he was having with whoever he's having this discussion, whether it's extraterrestrials, I don't know. He was having some type of discussion, but he shared the discussion that he was having. And um, he said that not one, the outcome of the conversation was not even one single person was able to put their own personal desires and differences aside for the collective. Not one. All right. So that means that they were all living by spirit and not soul. If they're honest with themselves, because a lot of times we have a tendency to see ourselves as a victim and what everybody else is doing wrong. And we don't see how we contribute to a collective reality that we are all in. All right. So he said not one was able to put their difference aside. All right. So now, so a lot of us feel justified, all right, in the way we treat each other at times. So you have planted the roots of bitterness in your abats, hearts. Then you sealed your akalat's minds up with hostility and animosity for others. Your very demeanor is blasphemy, savagism, adultery, murdering, killing, pillage, a life of ignorance and rebellion. These characteristics are recognized as the new generation of your youths. All right. So the reality is that you can look at the children, and the children as a testimony to the debauchery of the spirit in which we were conducting ourselves. All right. I remember Baba saying that if you want to know the truth, just look at the children. All right. You get there's a quote, an African quote, and it said that the children will burn down the village just to feel the warmth. All right. And where is the love? Where's the warmth? All right. So these characteristics are recognized as the new generations of our youths. And those characteristics are recognized by our devoted Nuwapian youths, who by Wu-Nuwap can identify them and their ways as their conduct and demeanor are a giveaway as to what type of person, female or male, they really are. All right. So it's not really what you say, it's really how you conduct yourself. All right. And people, when they're given the power to do what they want to do, you see what they really want to do. All right. And a lot of times it hasn't really been nice things. All right. How do you feel when you come amongst fellow Sabians? All right. Where's the love? All right. Despite what people say and what they put on their bodies. All right. What's the behavior? All right. Their conduct and demeanor. All right. 393. As for those among us who really put no truth and devotion to what is sent down for their taklus salvation and pretend to be Munwapu Nuwapians when amongst you, then once they are with their evil friends denounce what I conveyed, even denounce myself. All right. So, for example, there's some people, it's time to put the camera on. Let me hang up Baba's picture in the background. So I'm going to be talking to some Nuwapian Sabians. All right. And let me act and behave a certain way. And the moment that I leave their company, I'm a whole nother person. All right. That's some people's reality. All right. Some people even spend time with Baba, and then around us, and then they go to their friends, they may even start to denounce Baba. All right. Make fun of wu-sabat even. All right. So they gossip and slander the devoted from amongst our true tribal Yasar family. Their laborers will come to naught, both in this tapal world and once they die a physical death. All right. So they gossip and slander the real devoted ones. All right. So it's an easy thing. A lot of people, when something bad is said about them, they say that the other person is slandering. All right. When they go and do the same thing that they accuse others of doing. But how come it's not slander when they go and do it to someone else? All right. That's just something to think about. So their labor will be for nothing. All right. In this world and also once they die of physical death on this side and the etheric side. They will absolutely have no supporters and ones to come meet them to help them cross over, and anyone to exonerate them whatsoever. All right. So the reality, it doesn't matter if you're a good person or a bad person, for Baba to use that word exonerate. I feel like when you look around people in general, whether they're good people or bad people, everybody's being mistreated, or somebody has something to say about everybody, whether it's a real thing that somebody's saying or somebody's fabricating. Everybody has something that was negative said, whether they really did something or they didn't. And in reality, when people give a real testimony of their experiences of that person, there's nobody to exonerate and say, well, that's not the person that I know, because the reality is that they did leave a stench in the air, all right, with their name and the things they do, all right. So there's no one there to exonerate them, no one there to support them or help them on the other side, even, all right. They claim to be an adherent to our tribe and nation as Nuwapians, and that they surrender to Wunuwap. So they pretend to accept myself as a role model, along with other Muslafu ancestors. Yet surprisingly enough, you will find they were liars. All right. So in the end, we're sealing our own date, our own fate, because that's why in the Bridge to Salvation, it talks about how we're all mixed in together until the time of separation. So in the time of separation, and you see people and they're living their fate, it was like, don't feel bad for them. All right. So you will see, because sometimes you can't really tell, like the person could be under pressure. Sometimes we don't, we're all working through something, all right, or another. So it's like there's things that you may struggle with, but you're really doing your best. And there's a lot of pretenders, all right. And that's the great thing about authenticity, because authenticity, you'll still have support. So you'll notice at the end, there'll be those without support, and that will expose them for the lies that they were. All right. So surprisingly enough, you will find they were liars. They did not trust myself, Baabaa Yaanun, or Yaanun, the master teacher, nor what I came down to teach you. They, in fact, trusted the devil's way of life over their own. All right. So there's people doing sneaky things under the table they think no one sees. All right. So they think that's going to work over what's being presented from Baba. All right. And it's going to backfire. All right. So and for those who left and claim I'm Ansars for life, yet don't follow and of the Ansarullah community rights rules, dress, prayer, diet, etc., are hypocrites. All right. All right. So somebody wanted to say, okay, that's just that she's not Sabian because I saw her and she wasn't wearing a miptah one day, or she's not wearing her beads today. She's not Sabian, or she's not putting this on. All right. Yet, do they keep up their prayers? The people who's pointing out at another person, do they keep up their prayers? Do they fast the day of the week they were born every single week? All right. Because if we're living by the guidance of our culture, we should be fasting the day of the week you were born, or Thursday, or both. The first 3 days of the month, you should be keeping up your prayers the best you can. Things happen. Sometimes you just can't, but it's 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock. What else? There's a whole list of things you should be doing. The women should not be struggling. All right. The men should be providing. All right. But I do know that there's some homeless. There's people cheating on their spouse. All right. There's all kinds of things, but they have time to judge a person for what they do in a different way. All right. So it's not just about dress. It's about the whole package. All right. So for those who left and claim, I am Ansar for life, yet they don't follow and of the Ansarul Allah community rules, dress, prayers, diet, etc., are such hypocrites. For those true Nuwapians, it is preferable to have a trustworthy, devoted Nuwapian who practices Ranum chanting, Namorazat's prayer, Ganoi singing, and our Rakasat dances in our doctrine than 1,000 untrustworthy fakers who ignore them. The most outrageous atrocity of all is your fabrication of the deception which you ascribe to myself, that I was the one who put you up to commit these atrocities while you are still doing them now. All right. There's people who lied on Baabaa. So you have others that we don't really live our culture. All right. Yet we say it with our mouths, but in our lives you don't see it. All right. And then he said, okay, that's called hypocrisy, because you ignore the culture and then you still claim that you're of it. But the most atrocity is that there's people who lied on Baabaa and said that the things that they did was because of Baabaa. All right. So I knew one person like that. I hear some men, they like to blame Baabaa for them not accomplishing anything in their life. They say, well, I heard some people that angry at Baabaa. And it's like, well, I was looking out for the community. That's why I never accomplished anything in my life. I'm like, so he told you not to accomplish anything. It's like, or you scapegoating, because people use spirituality to run from responsibilities. And then there was another person that they supposedly they were supposed to be working on a project, and they abandoned their children, the whole family, to say they're going to work on this project. And they said, I'm working for Baabaa. And it's like, Baabaa never asked you to do that. So people are scapegoating Baabaa. All right. That's just an example. There's other worse things that people have done and said that they did it, all right, for Baabaa. And the reality is you did it for yourself, all right, or for whatever it is, and you're scapegoating Baabaa. All right. So the most outrageous atrocity of all is your fabrication of the deception which you ascribe to myself, that I was the one who put you up to commit those atrocities while you are still doing them now. Despite that, it was your own thinking and doing. And know this fact, it will be your own lasanat tongues and yadarat hands, your own kadamat feet that will testify against you, all concerning what you have committed once you die and arrive at the gate of the crossing over and are blocked, left to dwell as a lost soul, a tayaf ghost in this realm, unable to cross over. All right. These are the worst of apostates. They let me be blamed by the accusers. All right. So they let me be blamed by the accusers. They let me be imprisoned for things that they did and was in their own akalat minds to stay kafush free. They hope the devils destroy Taha Maye Reye, Wahani, our sacred land. And they hoped the Mudwawu devils abuse and torture my body. Year after year, All right. So they let these devils abuse and torture my body year after year while they knew in their hearts it was their doing. All right. So what is Baba saying? All right. So also Baba says study the case. So you know, because Baba's sitting in there for crimes that he did not commit. All right. And there's things that people did, that other people did. All right. And that they continue to do, and they're still around. According to this, they're still around. All right. And they're continuing year after year. So not just for him to be arrested initially, but year after year, while they knew in their hearts it was their doing. They are the illustration of those who have been born good yet grew and became evil, inside out wicked, outside in. And that's what Islam will do. All right. So you can turn, you could turn into a black devil. All right. You could have been born good. The decisions you make, you sow yourself and turn yourself into a demon. All right. And that's why Bible said when people try to hold things years ago, while I did this, Bible said, ask them, so what are you doing now? All right. That was then. All right. So they are, and he says that's what Islam will do. Religion in itself can make you very self-righteous and you abuse others while you make an excuse why it's okay for you to be abusive. All right. 411. They are like the one who Daut cry out and Zauk screaming and Latuk talking out loud, unaware of what they are saying because they are Taresh, deaf. So it is when these people are deaf, dumb and blind, obvious of what is really going on, how and why they are really used to destroy Taha, Maye, Reye, or Tamare, Wahani, and to Katul kill my person. All right. Because like the idea was for Baba to be killed. All right. And to kill my person. And they say, only I am good because I'm more important than all those others' lives I destroyed while helping the devil race. Some now sleep with devils. All right. So it's that be important syndrome. All right. Because I'm good because I'm more important. All right. I'm more important than you. Like, well, I might have hurt you, but you're less important than me. So it's not substantial, the effect I had on you, because you're nobody. All right. That's the way some people treat others. All right. In this tribe, you will see that. All right. You have no position. I don't know. You just got here, so I could treat you any kind of way. All right. But I'm good because I'm an important person. All right. So we have to get over that. Baba says stop being starstruck. All right. Get over people's titles. We respect it. You know, you should respect everybody, but you should respect just life in general should be sacred. All right. Not because somebody has a position, you're nasty to everybody else who doesn't have one. And you're going to kiss up to somebody because they seem important. You're also hoping to grow that devil in that person too. All right. Because that's not how real life works. All right. So they say only I am good because I'm more important than all those others' lives I destroyed while helping the devil race. Now some even sleep with devils. All right. Some people are knowing everything that we know about this being a genetic doctrine. Some of us even went and find ways to make it okay to go back and have sex with Caucasians. All right, bringing more demonic energy into their bloodline. I, Baabaa Yaanun, Paa Yaanun, proclaim in Paa Taraq the way that is our way of living, what Munwapu Nuwapians accept without any disputation. Look at us now. Without you, we move on. The only expression of any disputation erupted from the apostates once I brought the actual facts of our Shabbat tribe and Takmun, Takwum nation to my people as Pa Mukak Kamem Banan Akab. That's Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle, as a constitutionally seated president and head of the state of Nuapia. All right. So apostate, Baabaa explains what are the apostates. All right. Apostates are those who they distort the facts based on their emotions. All right. And they're being misled by one of their own 29 ancestors. All right. Because you have to be realistic. All right. There's a lot that happen in the families. All right. And maybe all of your 29 may not like Baabaa. All right. So they can come up and be stimulated to go against the doctrine. All right. Or whatever the case is. So the only expression of any disputation erupted from the apostates once I brought the actual fact of our Shabbat tribe and Takwum nation to my people as Pa Mukak Kamem Banan Akab. That's the Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle, as a constitutionally seated president and head of state of Nuapia. The United Nuapia Nation of the Yamasee Native American Chief Muskogee Seminole Shoshone Washita Mound Builders. The lost yet found Shabbat tribe, and that the Sakar land we were on, Wahani, was our own as retained sovereigns. All right, so this is the significance of the land that Baaba's talking about. And here's on this bottom of this. Actually, Baabaa, he mailed this picture to me himself. And that's why it's folded. So it could fit in an envelope. But you see right here is a very important number. And it says the United Nuapia Nation, number 215-1993. And then he also has number 208, 1999. All right. This is when Baabaa established, all right, on record, on paper, us as a sovereign nation. All right. And that's the actual filings. All right. And our flag. All right. And this is what a lot of us who got possessed to go against, all right, the liberation of our people on this particular land. All right. But that's why Baabaa said he's going to go to Africa. All right. Now, recently. All right. A tribe of indigenous aboriginals. And we claimed and declared our independence and unanimously accepted from the date June 26, 1992. All right. The devil knew he had to stop me and take back our Sakar land. So he used those who were cast aside for evil while in the Shabbat tribe. All right. So he's giving you the whole plot. All right. So these were disgruntled members that some of them were kicked out for things that they had done, or they were disgruntled for whatever reason. They all came together and they were used by the government. All right. So others who were guilty of outrageous atrocities, and others were threatened with jail, and their Sanashu parents with jail for life if they did not help to take back the land and imprison myself for life. All right. So you have different people. Some people were disgruntled because they were kicked out. Some people, they were doing like crimes themselves that they were getting caught up in. All right. Inside and outside the tribe. All right. And they were threatened with, some were just threatened with jail time if they didn't go against Baabaa. All right. So some people may not have done anything illegal, but they were afraid that if they didn't help the government, that they would go down with Baabaa. All right. So it had nothing to do with sex or tax. It was all about the land and our tribe, Yamasi, claiming our true identity on land we bought. Once Putnam County lost their case to block us from building on our land, they came up with new plots and used those poor souls. All right. So in reality is that Baabaa was in and out of court being harassed, and he kept winning because they were trying to get their land back for the longest. All right. So this is when they were like, okay, he actually had to have Al Sharpton on land. Who else came? Other people came, other civil rights leaders, and said that these people are being harassed. All right. So then that's when the sex allegations came up and other things, other schemes. And it's like, okay, we can't take him down. All right. So let's do another tactic. So for this, they lost their souls and are not rightly guided. And their lives will always be confusion unless they return to Wunuwap. Talking about the ones who conspired. All right. Our own people was used to conspire. Some are still around in the tribe, and some have long time gone. All right. But not just being in Wunuwap saying I'm gonna wear this and wear a title. That's not returning to Wunuwap. Returning to Wunuwap means to be living according to Wunuwap. All right. And that would also be not hiding facts. All right. So they will never be rightly guided, yet will end up among the conscious stricken. All right. I don't know. A great luxury is being able to sleep at night with a clear conscience. Because you know what's great about that? Your hormones can freely move in your body. Hormone disruptions and all that other stuff. Sometimes that's all disruptive. Your whole body, your whole equilibrium is thrown off. So you're going to need yourself to be able to be at a nice resting place so you could go to other dimensions in actuality. All right. So try to meditate, and you have a bad conscience, you're probably not going to want to meditate. All right. For example. All right. So their earthly life may seem glamorized to them. They may say, I'm free, yet they are apostates who still claim they are amongst the right when they know what they did was wrong. 428. When they meet a devoted Munwapu or Nuwapian, the apostates scoff at them who practice Wunuwap and is cursing the abundance in the next life, as well as now, seeking of facts not, lies. The earthly life has seemed glamorized to the apostates, the liars, the slanderers, who still claim they were wronged, yet hang with and talk with and party with and sleep with those who really wronged them, abused and hurt them. All right. Because the reality, a lot of times, I remember saying it said, those who seek. I'm gonna butcher the thing I heard before. I'm butchering the quote, but it's like those who have no purpose seek pleasures, constant pleasures. All right. So so a lot of times people are just escaping the conscious with the very people, all right, that they shouldn't be around. All right. So their earthly life seemed glamorized to the apostates, the liars, the slanderers, who still claim they were wronged, yet they hang with, talk with, party with, sleep with those who really wronged them, abused and hurt them. Those who pretend it was me, not them, and know the Sawab truth. All right. So they're pretending with they're hanging out with the people who abuse them, and they pretend that it was Baabaa who abused them and not the person that they're hanging with. All right. These who did this, their earthly lives will never be a profitable substitute for Wahani Tamaray and all the good I did for them and the many things I taught them. All right. I'm thinking, even though this is a separate case, from what I know, when I look at what's that guy's name? What's his name? I don't know why I forgot his name. Kanye. Yeah, Kanye. When I look at Kanye, to me he looks like I'm not saying he's attached to Baaba's case, but just when I just see his life, he looks first off like a walking zombie. All right. He looks very unhappy. And it looks like he's just distracting himself with pleasures. So he's obviously not fulfilled. And he gives to me lonely vibes as well. All right. So it's like all the money in the world can't buy peace of mind. It can't buy community. It can't buy trusted friends. All right. You're screwing over the person that's looking out for you. All right. And then you're left to hang with devils or whatever the case is. All right. And that sounds like a very lonely existence to me. All right. And when I see Kanye with his naked wife and him constantly having to show people how he's so important and giving his unsolicited opinions about everything, it's like that's a lonely person. All right. So 4:30. Those who pretend it was me and not them, and know the Sawab truth. These who did this, their earthly lives will never be a profitable substitute for Wahani Tamaray and all the good I did for them and the many things I taught them. This world's life is not a substitute, and the devil did not destroy us. We are back stronger than ever for a glorious victory or victorious life of eternal truth of what we are proud of, our Shabbat tribe and nation. All right. So try to bring shame upon the people. And Baba said, no, they didn't win because there's no shame. All right. We're still proud of who we are. All right. And that's something that we shouldn't let them take away. All right. So in this Tapa world and the one to come, at death we have no guilt. All right. I don't feel bad about how I treated anybody. All right. Because I did my best not to mistreat anybody. All right. Including myself. Now, at times, sometimes we do. We take ownership for that and we make amends. All right. Because sometimes we could violate others and we didn't necessarily mean to. All right. And you make peace and you rectify differences. All right. That's normal. You're going to have differences in life, but it's different than actually setting up and plotting on somebody. All right. Or trying to outright sabotage somebody's progress. All right. It's nice not having guilt when you go to sleep at night. And the closest thing to death is sleep. So if you can sleep with a clear conscience, then it's nice being able to also transition at death with a clear conscience. All right. So yet the apostates, once they arrive at death's gate, each individual will receive their just punishment, and none will be treated unjustly. All right. So none will be treated unjustly. All right. So the reality is someone suffering at death's gate, at death's gate, then that's a just treatment. All right. They can Raju return and all will be well. All right. So the reality is, yeah, we make mistakes in life. It's about growing, learning. All right. You know how some people they're like, I can never forgive what the person has done. That's not for you to decide. All right. The reality is that there's soul lessons to learn. All right. And the reality is that you can, it's you can make it right. Some people, they think they're too far gone for things they may have done, but that's not the reality. All right. So you can return back to yourself. That's where the healing is. All right. For the things that you may have done to yourself and others in that state. All right. That's why you want to get out of that state. All right. And raise your vibration. All right. So they can, Raju, return and all will be well. Yet the apostates who turn away from Wu Nawab, our way, the path, then die, persisting in their lies. They will never be forgiven. All right. Now, you have to also rectify the things that you did. For example, uh, let's just say, I'm gonna use it as an example. Let's say you smoked a pack of cigarettes your whole life, and you've done the damage, and you're like, okay, uh, so that's a violation to yourself, right? And you say, okay, I want to make it right. Sometimes it's not enough to just stop smoking the cigarettes and pretend you never smoked, because the reality is that you did. So sometimes you'll have to take measures to balance out, all right, what you've done to yourself. So you may want to start taking herbs. You may want to start exercising. You may want to start being proactive to undo damage that you did. All right. So the reality is that you can't persist in a lie and lies that you may have told. Sometimes you'll have to tell the truth. All right. It's the same thing. Like you harmed yourself with the cigarettes. Now you have to do something to make it right. So you give your body the conditions that it can heal. All right. Because you don't want to keep the same conditions that made you sick. All right. So the lie is what made you cut off in the first place. So you had to relieve yourself from that. All right. So the apostates who turn away from Wu Nuwap, our way, the path, then die persisting in their lies, they will never be forgiven. In the end, they will absolutely be among the defeated and rejected, disappointed and damned. Wide is the gate which leads to self-destruction, and many there are who enter therein. Yet narrow is the gate that leads to calamity, or calamity for eternity. And few there are those who are able to locate it. All right. So it's about healing yourself, rounding yourself out. All right. So there's a lot of ways to destroy yourself. All right. So that's how you could think of it. Maybe that's not my poison of choice. I might choose that poison instead, or that lay of the spell. I like that one better. I like that. There's many ways to trap a devil, so to speak. And you don't want to be the devil that gets trapped. All right. So you want to be, because Bible said you trap a devil. You don't stop a devil. You trap him. And there's many things that has been put in our path to distract us, to trap us. All right. So you're reforming yourself so you don't become the devil that's trapped. All right. And in many things that's there. All right. Because there's a million ways to be a devil. I might not be that kind of devil, but I might be that kind, or whatever the case is. And when I say devil, I just mean a self-destructive tendency. All right. And we all have it if we're honest with ourselves to some degree. All right. And that's why we're working ourselves. And that's why it's very few are able to locate that narrow path. All right. So Munuwapu Nuwapians who have truly accepted Wunuwap from among our people, how the foolish desire to turn you back from Wunuwap die due to jealousy in their spirits. All right. They due to jealousy in their spirits because they see you healing. Sometimes a person, they're okay with you when you're destructive. The moment that you start wanting more for yourself, you have these people that come to distract you. All right. I'm a sister, never pretended that I had it all together. I'm obviously here doing my best to be my best self. All right. I'm reading scrolls. I'm using me as an example. All right. Because I'm sure we all have our own stories. And for somebody to come, That's the only way. I never had any problem with that particular. I'll say lady. I never had the problems with that particular lady. Never did anything to her. But for her to come into the group that I'm actually reading to and call me Paul and make a post in the group to where I have to block her, which that's the only woman I've ever blocked from my. Well, actually, that's not true. I blocked one other woman, but I would say that that's a jealous spirit, because why don't you want me to heal? Why you have to look for what's wrong with me? Why don't you pull me to the side or offer to get me a nice outfit or something? You know, why you have to go straight to wanting to humiliate me or to knock me off the path? And I told her, it seems like you're trying to chase me away. That's what I told her. All right. And why would you want to chase somebody away? All right. That there's nobody that I found that has it all together. All right. Not yet. You know, I see us working on it. Some people are working on themselves. All right. So, Munuwapu Nuwapians who have truly accepted Wunuwap from among our people, how foolish desire to turn you back from Wunuwap due to the jealousy in their spirits. Perhaps if truth is made clarified for them, they may return and trust. Pa Mundaru, the overseers, will certainly pardon them. All right, natural nature. That's why I say, that's why you know I shook. The fact that you can heal, like you can catch a cold today and you heal tomorrow, lets you know that there's ashuk for you. That's ashuk, the fact that you can heal from something. Because a lot of the ailments that we have, in some shape or form, we brought it on ourselves, if we're to be honest. All right. And the fact that you can actually heal, all right, that is actually a pardon. From who? Pa Mundaru, the overseers. All right, aligning with natural nature. That's why doing the breath exercises, for example, you acknowledge your Nathar, Sabab, or Geb, all right, for grounding, solid. You acknowledge Shu, because Shu is responsible for the way your respiratory system is put together, because Shu represents air, all right? And your physical response to air is your whole respiratory system, all right? So the fact that if you align with Shu and there's something off with your respiratory system, Shu will actually help to remold your body back to the design of natural nature, from which you deviated from. All right, you deviated from natural nature, and you paid for it in some type of way. All right, and the fact that you can get back on the path is a pardon from natural nature. All right, so you can thank Panadado the fact that you have the opportunity to heal. Whether you heal or not, that's up to what you decide. All right, but you have the opportunity to. All right, so perhaps if truth is made clarified for them, they may return and trust. Pa Mundaru, the overseers, will certainly pardon them. All right, so trust in natural nature. A lot of times people don't trust in it. All right, and they're like, well, I might as well just continue, because I remember there was one lady, I was trying to tell her to try these like herbs, and I was like, giving her certain things I really liked. And I was like, wow. And she said, I done. And her response to that was, she said, I done so much drugs that I'm not going to feel nothing. And she was just not interested. And she didn't even try. She doesn't trust that natural nature can reform her. She just said, and then she said, well, at when you get to a certain age, it just is what it is. That was her response. So I can't like force her, but she was offered, a new reality. But she doesn't have trust in Panadado. All right, so she's just going to stay on the same path that she's on. So perhaps if truth is made clarified for them, they may return and trust. Pan Mundaru will certainly pardon them. One of the characteristics of a true Munwapu Nuwapian is their willingness to forgive those who Kabul hurt them, slandered them, and lied on them. All right? You are recognized by others because of your actions, your high moral character. All right. I saw people record about, they're sitting on their holy high horse. All right. And I saw recording, they said, well, I'm gonna use Jacob York as an example. They said, well, if Jacob York came and he apologized and he wanted to help and make it right, would you be able to forgive him? And everybody on that video said no. They said no. And I'm like, so Baaba's sitting in prison right now, and you're saying on camera that you can't accept him back. You dislike Jacob more than you want Baabaa free. That's what I heard, in my mind. But I'm like, it just shows that there's healing needed. I'm not condemning them either because I don't know what they've been through. But what I'm just saying is that there's a self-righteousness that's permeating, all right? And then people don't see that they're actually the very devil that they're condemning in others, that they're actually the devil too, you know? So the reality is that we've all done things that we probably shouldn't have in a state that we were in at one time or another. Whether it was an extreme thing or maybe you didn't do that, but you may have done something to yourself, or you may have done something, and you had the opportunity to make your wrongs right. All right. So now you're standing in the way of someone else's healing. All right. Now forgiving somebody, for let's say somebody came to my place and then they came and robbed me. All right. And then they apologized. It doesn't mean that I can't. All right. I forgive you. But it doesn't mean I have to let them back in my house. Forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean that, but it also means that you're not walking around with a chip on your shoulder. All right. And then the brother or sister needs to get something done. And you're like, don't talk to me. You know what you did to me 10 years ago. All right. That's going on in our tribe too, So yeah, somebody might have slandered you before. They were immature. They grew. Yeah, they lied on you. All right. They went and told people that they lied. They made it right. All right. Yeah, they robbed you. They were willing to give you the money back, and they want to clear their conscience. They want to be part of the family again. And you are stunting their growth and healing. All right. So now what did you possibly do? All right. At some point, maybe it was something else. All right. So one of the characteristics of a true Nuwapian is their willingness to forgive those who Kabul hurt them, slandered them, and lied on them. You are recognized by others because of your actions, your high moral character. All right. I want to also clarify, this doesn't mean that because people try to weaponize your compassion. It doesn't mean that, okay, this person, they hit you. Let's say there's an abusive person. They hit you and they apologize and then you forgive them, let's say, and then they hit you again and they act like you're supposed to let them hit you to be a good Sabian. All right. That's not what Baabaa clarifies in other scrolls. He doesn't mean that either. All right. Because some people, they apologize for what they still continue to do. You have the right to remove yourself from any situation that's not conducive for you. All right. Which is why the person kept attacking me. That's the only reason why I blocked them. And then they were trying to make it seem like I'm a bad Sabian. I'm like, so I'm supposed to just let you abuse me? I'm like, you got the wrong person. I'm not Christian. All right. So you are recognized by others because of your actions, your high moral character. The ones who lie, yet still consider themselves as one of us, Munwapu Nuwapians, have nothing to stand on whenever they recite Nuwapi or Nuwapic and the actual facts. All right. So they stand on illusions. All right. Who is worse? Who is a worse oppressor than a person who oppressed the loyal Nuwapians by forbidding them to celebrate, knowing the actual facts of self and others, having their own language, proud to be of the tribe, Yamasi? And you who have Kabula accepted from among our tribe, a nation, do not fight those who fight you. All right, do not fight those who fight you. All right. Do not take vengeance once your persecutors upon your persecutors. Don't take vengeance on your persecutors and never victimize others who are still that you are lost. All right. Gafur, forgive those who oppress and afflict and lied on us. Even do good to them. Gafur, forgive them and seek to help save their souls. All right. If you can help them, that's great. Being mindful not to lose yours at the same time. All right. Because the reality is you're here, you're probably healing from something too. So you don't have time for um you don't have time for revenge. All right. Somebody was saying I feel for that person, but they were saying how they don't mind going to jail. They want to fight somebody who did something to them. And they're in the tribe. And they're like it's worth going to jail to avenge what they've been through. All right. And the reality is that all that energy that you're using to fight, you could be using that same energy to heal yourself from whatever was done to you. All right. So it becomes a distraction. All right. So you don't want to get trapped in a realm. All right. Because of your consonants dropping. Don't let anybody do that to you. If you can be helpful, you may and if you can still retain your soul and your compassion, and do it. All right. So forgive them and seek to help their souls. All right. I don't know if like everybody, like some of us may have had character upgrades through our life. You know, there's certain things that you might have been mean spirited about as a child or whatever the case is. If you're honest with yourself, I'm sure you had character upgrades, especially if you've been honest with yourself and working on yourself. And a lot of times those character upgrades came from somebody else being the bigger person. Sometimes you're not always the bigger person. And sometimes the other person being a bigger person, you was a wake up call to your consciousness and it allowed you an opportunity to grow to meet that challenge. So their consciousness was up here, maybe yours was down there. And their kindness after uh, you realize that they didn't have to and they did. And sometimes that helps your soul that they could unlock your soul for you in that type of way and you respond. Now it doesn't always happen, but a lot of us have had that experience in some shape or form to some degree about something. All right. So you be that person. All right. Now some other people they don't respond to that. All right. That's your cue to get away. All right. So 451. With such a disposition, no Tasoi rebellion shall rise among you, and the truth in its entirety will be born in them. Yet if those who persecute you stop their evil, repent, and return to wu-sabat, welcome them with open arms. All right. Some people, they persecute you for whatever reason. They don't like the look of your face. All right. They apologize. Because whatever, it may be that they were attacking you and it had nothing to do with you. But they're struggling with something else, and they needed a scapegoat. All right. And for a lot of people that was, and then they had their little epiphany, they had their soul journey, and they come back, you know, and they come back with humility. All right. You should open your arms and accept them back. I'm not saying like domestic violence and all that, because a lot of times people try to pervert and manipulate. Accepting someone back as a person doesn't mean you have to go back to the same relationship you had. I'm just putting that out there. But you can accept them as a fellow human being. All right. When they have their fellow soul journey. You could accept them as a fellow soul when they're also on their soul journey. All right. All right. So we're on 453. Do not predetermine punishment upon others arbitrarily. All right. Sometimes it feels good. You fantasize about what that person should they deserve, like, you know, but the person is still living. The reality is that the person is still living. All right. So you don't know what jewels they're picking up with life. So it's not about you to predetermine their judgment arbitrarily, because you leave room for people to grow or not grow. Maybe they grow, maybe they don't, but that's not for you to predetermine their punishment, because I'm sure there's things, if you're an honest person to yourself, that you have grown. And if somebody had judged you in that moment of that low moment and condemned you to that moment, all right, that wouldn't have been an accurate story about you, all right, because you're still living, you're still unwrapping things, all right. And sometimes life is not always black and white. Sometimes it's gray, it's tangled up, and people are untangling their stories, and it's not just you, because other people, they think they're a good person because they know what they went through, and it's like, well, I did that, but it's because of this. So only you get to have a reason, nobody else. Everybody else is just bad, but when you lied, it was different because you were scared. So you're not a bad person, but nobody else gets to have a story, just you, you know. So you do not predetermine punishment upon others arbitrarily. Punishment was Saduka, originated as a method of Abrahamism religion and as a warning to them that perchance they would take heed. We don't have Manrar, hell's fire in Wunuwap. All right. Our Muslafa ancestors don't have punishment, torture, a hell. That is for Pa Mukasu Mudamu. That's the Adamites, the Caucasoids, for their gods, not our own, nor for us. All right. So now you want to create a hell for somebody else. All right. That doesn't exist because they didn't do something pleasing to your standards. All right. That doesn't exist for us. All right. So we say this to them: you have gone astray. Why do you still deny the Sawab truth when you see the signs? You and we are observers of nature at work, and our Muslafu ancestors are observers of all of your insincere manipulations. Furthermore, why do you mislead the ones who have already been rightly guided away from the evil world to the straight and narrow path? All right. So I'm reading scrolls, and then like a couple of people came in and said, "Study my scrolls instead. Read my scrolls instead." I looked through a couple of them. I was like, nah, I think I'll stick with Bible scrolls. This really pissed the people off. All right. And it's like, why you bothering me? I'm already on my path, and you're distorting it, you know. So you definitely seek to follow the wrong way and promote such evil ways constantly. Are you not aware that Pa Muntaru, the overseers, do overlook what you are doing? You Danun judge others falsely. Never forget that the time will come when you will be judged in accordance with judgments that you measured out to others. All right. That's why Bob always wants the finger that points out at you is pointing at, that you're pointing out at others, that, you see three fingers pointing at yourself. So reality, whatever you condemn others for, you condemn yourself. All right. So the reality is that this person doesn't live the culture to the T. Well, hopefully you do. I mean, I know I don't. There's things I'm still working through. I'm honest to myself. So therefore, it's like there's things I know, I'm working, I'm a work in progress. I'm still here. So I don't have time to be like, oh, that sister, I saw her go to Golden Corral, and she's not, because some things come easier to me. Some things may be more of a challenge. On a verse and the reverse, some things might be easier to her, more of a challenge to me, if we're honest. All right. So I know better than that. I'm just working through and seeing how far my genetics will allow me to get. All right. And because whatever I point out and measure out at others will be measured to me. All right. So I'm not saying I don't judge at all, but I'm mindful how I judge. All right. So you Danun judge others falsely. Never forget that the time will come where you will be judged in accordance with the judgments you meted out to others. Now think, Abrahamism claims a God who was the Sakam power, or who has the Sakam power to do all things from Tem Shawif, unseen places. He sees all you do and knows all you have done. The all-powerful yet all good, the gracious, the merciful, the forgiving. This is their God, Allah Yahweh. Yet this God has a place or places called hell, among Rad, hell's fire, where you will go if you don't obey, pray to him only, and think about him. He is forgiven, yet he will not forgive. He is merciful, yet will not show most mercy. He can make all things Wawed good and all Sakemul powerful, yet he lets people sin so they can go to his hellfire. All right. So when we think about even God, remember that God had the ability, according to what they wrote in the Bible in Exodus, where God hardened the Pharaoh's heart. And Moses, he said, Moses, go ask the Pharaoh to let the people go. Moses took that long trip to get there. And by the time he gets there, and the Bible says God hardened Pharaoh's heart. I was like, why would God harden the Pharaoh's heart? Why doesn't he soften the Pharaoh's heart? And that was the question that came up. And the only answer that anyone could say, so that God could show his power. And it's like, but why would he have to show his power? Why doesn't he just be powerful? So what is he showing his power for if he just makes everybody obedient and nice? Why can't everybody just be nice people? And so these are the tricks, all right? Because these deities, they don't have the power that they pretend that they do, all right? So he can make all things good and all sakem are powerful, yet he lets people sin so they can go to his hell's fire. He can stop all that evil, yet he does not. He can cure all kalenas, sickness, yet he does not. All right. Think about people who have mental disorders that make them say, you know what, I hear voices that tell me to go out and kill. All right. And they do a CAT scan and see that the person's brain is actually structured different than the average person's brain. So that's a sickness. So why doesn't God just heal that person's brain so it can function properly? Heal their thoughts. All right. So he knows what is in your akal mind. Yet he has to test your takak faith and devotion. What kind of God is that, or is this, who can prevent evil and people going to hell he created? In Genesis chapter 1, verses 29, yet does not. All right. If he's all powerful, he should be able to stop people from going to hell. All right. I will ask again. I ask you again. Is that really a forgiving, merciful God, or is that an evil being pretending to be God? While babies die, born sick and deformed, allows wars and kills millions, maratats, diseases that kills millions, weather that kills millions, and he has the sakam power to prevent all this, yet does not. The truth is, the Makwanu beings they call God or Allah is not all powerful, and he does not see all, and he does not know all. Just atlu, read your Bible again. God asked Adam in the garden, where are you? In Genesis chapter 3, verses 9, it says, and the Lord God called unto Adam and said unto him, where art thou? And so many other things that shows he did not know. So much they claim he does, and they do, could not see from La Fes above what they were doing in Nimrod's land, Sakar land. All right. So a story of Nimrod. Genesis chapter 11, verses 5 through 7 reads, and the Lord came down to see the city and tower, which the children of men builded. And Yahweh said, behold, the people is one, and they all have one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. All right, that's the King James Version. So he had to come down to see. That is what their Bible claims. He does not know all things. He is not all sakemmer or powerful. He can't kafuf stop or prevent evil. And he would have prevented Eve, or he would have prevented Eve from eating of the tree. He would have already known it. In Genesis chapter 3, verses 4 through 6. All right. It reads, And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Their Gadad, or God, is the devil, pretending to be good. He has no sakam power that you don't have. All right. So I noticed that in general, when people play power games, all right, the extraterrestrials, yeah, they do it, right? People do that too. So it's like, I'm going to disrespect you, right? I try my best to be respectful to people. I'm not saying I'm always perfect. I'm a person. But I'm going to disrespect you. And then if you disrespect me back, I'm going to act like you did something, a big violation. All right. So the reality is you shouldn't violate others if you don't want them to violate you. All right. So for example, all right. So it's like if somebody comes and they say, well, I have a position, so I'm more special than you. I'm more important. I could treat you any kind of way. And then act like they're going to go report. I'm like, go ahead and report me, you know. And the reality is that nobody really has more importance or power than any other being. All right. So all those power games should stop. And that's why we read these scrolls, so people can stop playing these political power games. All right. It's just that they're taking advantage of your ignorance and your accepting, all right, of this abuse of power and misuse. All right. So it's up to you to learn how you're put together, learn life as well. All right. So you can also live to your potential. And that's what this guy was afraid of. This guy was afraid of these beings, all right, in that particular place, Adam and Eve. God was, and Nimrod as well, was afraid of these beings living to their full potential. All right. And it's like, I want you to be not too good because I want to be able to control you. All right. And that's what so many people do to each other. And I don't really like when I see people doing that. All right. So their God is the devil pretending to be good and has no sakam power you don't have. In Genesis chapter 3, verses 22, it reads, And Yahweh Elohim said, Behold, the man is become as one of us to know good and evil. And now lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever. Adam became one of them, a God. They misguided you with lies. In Exodus chapter 7, verses 1. And the Lord said unto Moses, See, I have made thee a God. Hebrew Strong's number 430, Elohim. All right, to Pharaoh. And Aaron, thy brother shall be thy prophet. All right. So God is calling Moses a God. All right. Or this particular extraterrestrial is saying, I made you a God. And Aaron will be your prophet. All right. So Moses became a Elohim, God, just like in Genesis chapter 1, verses 1. In the beginning, Elohim created the heaven and the earth. Yet I, Baabaa Yaanun, or the Master Yanun, have displayed Wunuwap to you as actual facts, while you still, Ragub, reject Pahadaya and the guidance, vindicating truth and vanquishing falsehoods, despite the objections, obstacles of Pa Kakasnadu, the Caucasoids, and his helpers, the opposition. All right. So Baba said he did his best. He gave us the guidance. The reality, he said uh that we don't want it. All right. Remember when Baba was saying that he didn't like the way we chanted? He said we were disrespectful. That's what made me want to start to chant better, because Baba had told me to chant, but I didn't understand chanting at the time, so I just ignored that. Because I was like, that sounds a little spooky. Now, where's the real facts? All right. And then life unfolded. You know, Baba don't harass, so life unfolded, and then I started to see like, oh wow, that's how that's put together. That's what's happening. Oh, and then I was able to appreciate that jewel. All right, it had to play out for my confirmation, and then I got it. So sometimes, you can hear something, doesn't mean it hits, or at that moment. But at the time, Baba had also, he said that we just want to be on stage and be seen. We just want to go and teach and be on stage. But he said that we don't really want the culture. We don't really want to live the culture. We just want to be talking the culture. We want to be seen, and we like being just, that be important syndrome, and that's what he saw. He said, you guys just want to get on stage and teach. That's all you want. All right. So vindicate. Okay, so let's go back. Yet I, Baabaa Yaanun, and the Master Yanun, have displayed Wunuwap to you as actual facts, yet you still, Rabu, reject Pahadaya and the guidance, vindicating truth and vanquishing falsehood despite the objections, obstacles of Pa Kakasnadu, the Caucasoids, and his helpers, the opposition. They did all they could to block and hold back my Malat's works, yet, prison or not, they failed. Wunuwap is spreading the world over very fast. All right. I remember when these actual facts were first coming out. I actually was running a bookstore at the time. And I just remember like it was a lot of games being played with the books, I'm be honest. And I told Bob about it, but there's nothing he could do at the time. But at the time, all actual facts were $9. And when you wanted to order some, like because the rate that the bookstores to pay for the books, because we had to pay for the books to sell them. So the wholesale price was half off. All right. Except actual facts. Actual facts, only old books were half off. Actual facts, at the time they came out, they were $9 each. And they sold it to us for $9. And then they said if you make copies of it, you're not getting any Henny Wax. And I was like, well, why are you making it so difficult to sell them? And they were just put together, like they have upgraded a lot. But they were just like, I have some of the original ones where it was just a clip, and then it was put together like that. And it was such a concise effort. I'm not saying who, I'm not pointing fingers because I don't know, but I don't know whose decision that was to sell the stores $9 and tell them that and then put the price on the book, and then tell them they have to sell it for the price they're buying it at. So they made sure that we got no profit. All right. And I don't even know if all the stores were dealt with like that, but it made you not sell those. It made you not want to buy those, and they were new at the time, so people would gravitate to what they know anyway. So it was so much gains, but guess what? These scrolls are all over the world now. All right. And it's life changing. So let's continue reading. So they did all they could to block or hold back my Malat's works, yet prison or not, they filled. Wunuwap is spreading the world over very fast. The actual facts expose their tashushats, deceptions, and religious lies. Pa Kakasnadu, the Caucasoids, the wicked ones, even if they and their treachery were manifested through misguided and balula, confused religious people by faith, not facts. Pa hakaka, hakaka, the actual facts of Bunwa, diffuses their fabrications of Abrahamism, perverse religious messages, their safahats, books of Bible and Quran, what they really teach in spite of their using brilliant articulation and confound the illiterate slaves called Negroes, nigger, or negras, and other terms of insults. All right. So some people, Bob is really pointing out, some people are just good talkers. All right. They have very good articulation, but they're really talking a bunch of lies and deception. Some people are very persuasive speakers. All right. They're very good at that. All right. Some people, they're not really good speakers, but they tell the truth, but they might be boring to listen to, or they just don't convey ideas as well as somebody who may actually be saying the wrong things, but they're very persuasive. All right. So the great thing is about the actual facts, it dispelled all of it, whether it was done maliciously, whether it was done through charisma, whether it was done just by honest mistake, because some people, they were just genuinely misguided and confused themselves. But wherever the deception is coming from, it neutralized all of it. All right. This is why it was so difficult. All right. That they were doing everything they could to keep this information from getting out. They even told Baabaa that if he said everything that he's teaching is a lie, that they'll let him go. And he said, as a response, he doesn't care if he ends up in a can of tuna. All right. He's gonna stick with this. All right. So 490. If you don't understand the Roman Greek meaning Negroes or Niger, black, simply a black person, Negro is the black skin, woolly haired race. Pa Naga Nadu, the Salau, the Negro race. The actual fact also lay bare the deceit of their teachers, regardless of their covering themselves with robes or suits of what they call the rightly guided, who was in fact wrongly Haduya guided. Finally, when they, Kaweh, gather their people, the fruits of their labors, behold, they are asked Tashwilats, questions they cannot answer. So they make up stories that sound good or to sound good, yet can't be checked out in the end. They will receive their punishments. All right. We know we've had different experiences. All right. Just in your own mind, where you ask a person a question, they didn't really have the answer, so they started to talk a whole lot of nothing. That in reality you couldn't confirm anything they said. All right. They start telling you things that you can't check out, and you just have to take their word for it. All right. That's a manipulation tactic. The punishment of mushashuru, deceivers, which they deserve, instead of the reward they teach about in others' religions. They offer their followers pale white skins as tatu women called haur, with pale or white sclera, silver like pearls to have sex with after Mawat's death. 497. This is Quranic teachings. Quran chapter 44 verses 54. Quran chapter 52 verses 20. They will be reclining on thrones lined up, and we will marry them to fair women with large beautiful eyes. And then also Quran chapter 56 verses 22 through 23. And for them are fair women with large beautiful eyes, and likeness of pearls well protected. Siha International. Pearl white as is silver sclera and pale white irises of the eyes. So the Quran offers its followers paradise of Labenza Zaz Tatu, white women with pale pearl eyes to marry and have sex with. 499. This is what the Arabic of the Quran promises the Muslim male at death. This is the Arabs' religion of wu-salam or Islam or al-salam. That is being offered to my people as their own, when the Quran is clear it's for Arabs only. In Quran chapter 14 verses 4, it reads, "We sent not a messenger except to teach in the language of his own people in order to make things clear to them. Now Allah leaves straying those whom he pleases and guides whom he pleases. He is exalted in power, full of wisdom." It is saying Arabic speaking messenger for those who understand Arabic only. The Quran is revealed to Muhammad to be a testimony between him and his own people. As Quran chapter 6 verses 19, they add words again to hide real meanings. It says, "Say Allah is witness between me, Muhammad, and you Arabs, and you all Arabs. And his Quran was revealed to me, Muhammad, and that I, Muhammad, may warn you all Arabs, thereby you all's children, sons." In the Arabic, it says, Abinakum, Abinakum, Abinakum. That means you all sons or children, or sons of Arabs, not the whole world. They translate this word as whomever it reaches. All right. So Ibnun is the singular for a son, and Abinukum means you all sons. Again, they changed Allah's word in Tantrum translation to make it seem the Quran was for more than Murabu Arabs. All right. So they changed it in the translation. And this is what they have been, Lacuna taught you, by leaders who haven't taken time to learn Arabic enough to be able to see it. They're playing with your life, your Yasar family, and your Ba soul. They lead you into the hands of other than your own Salah race and kind, and claim others as your Muklasor savior, Murabu Arabs, and even Moirapu Europeans, not of your own race. Not of your own race. All right. And I've taken a walk through some Christian neighborhoods in Ghana. I actually see some statues of a white Jesus and a white Mary. All right, in Africa. All right. So you see why sometimes Africans and Black people in general will fight against their own interest. All right. Because how are you going to say the Arabs? There's no racism in Islam. We're all brothers. Right? This is what they say to you, but that's not the way they treat you. And then you having a one-sided brotherhood, all right, against your own family. All right. So you go practice brotherhood with Arabs who's not practicing it back to you. All right. And the giving is always going to be on your side. All right. At the expense of your real family. All right. So their Baabaa's hearts, as the wicked liars, these individuals' hearts are made up of enmity, of iniquity, of animosity, of greed, of debauchery, of lies, of exploitation, and they misguide those who Sadak trust and listen to them. All right. The reality is the Arabs are not your brothers. All right. The Europeans are not your brothers. All right. And it's for their own benefit if they deal with you at all. All right. And to your detriment. And that's why uh they are doing well while you suffer. I'm talking about your people. All right. Because you give your trust and power to them. But in reality, they just have enmity against you, jealousy. All right. Whatever they have against you, an agenda. All right. 509. Therefore, in time, everyone shall be known by their deeds and actions as well as rakakesh, knowledge, because the tongue spells out what is within the erbab, hearts, and akal, mind. So what you preach and what you teach and what you share, that's really what's in your heart. So you're being judged according to that too, in your actions and your deeds. And just look, stand back and look at the actions and the deeds of these Arabs. What did they preach you? They preach you lies and deceptions. How did they treat and what was the outcome of that relationship? All right. It wasn't good for you, but it was definitely good for them. So, did you do your homework, or did you pretend to know what you know you don't and misguide our own race of people? All right. So that's the question. Did you do your homework, or did you just accept it and pretend that you understood and you didn't? And you went on to misguide your own race. And that's the power of Baabaa said, as he said, go and question others the same way you have questioned me. He didn't say stop questioning, because Baabaa is not a preacher. Baabaa is a teacher. So the star student asks questions so that they can comprehend and they can know. And the workings like, okay, I got it. So you can really get the real lesson, and then you can go out and then you can go help others. All right. So did you do your homework, or you just like to sit there and be preached to? All right. You have people like that. All right. So my people everywhere, anywhere, if Mukmam Zazaz, black man, stands up before you to teach or preach, you question him. All right. Bible says specifically black man. All right. So people everywhere, anywhere, if a Mukmam Zazaz, black man, stands up before you to teach or preach, you question him. Don't just sit and shamur listen to rehearse words. That is like Masak music. If he steps up front, then he should be able to answer questions as I did from 1970 AD up to right now. Don't just tafuk agree or hearken to them or what they say. Don't just follow the crowd. 515. Do not just follow the crowd. And that's one thing I used to say in this group. Stop following the followers of Baabaa. Stop following the followers. All right. Take time to make your own connection, your own link. All right. That brother, he sounds like he's a good talker. He's impressive because you're not doing your homework, Asmuni. My chair. All right. So, because you're not doing your homework. All right. So you do your homework as well, so you can level the playing field. So now you meet other, let's say, able-bodied people. You guys can come together and work on things. You're not just like just going along to get along. All right. And if you're doing that, stop doing that. If you don't understand something, don't pretend that you do. All right. For anything, sometimes I don't understand what you're saying, and I don't pretend that I understand. I really don't understand what you're saying. Can you help me? All right. And then I realize, okay, you're not saying anything. Or it's like, okay, that's what you meant. All right. I appreciate you taking the time to explain that. All right. So don't just follow the crowd. 516, just because they have many followers does not mean they have the Sadek Hadayan, true guidance. Entertainers may have many fans or followers. I have Nadura warned you in the Hakaka to actual facts and Paa Taraq the way concerning Muhammad's importance of Lahaj language, and that is why I called it a Hajj spell, as in spelling. Also, the way they spell things is to trick the mind. All right, people do play with the language a lot if you don't listen closely. I remember Baba had said something, supposedly Baba had said something, and he had given a message. And then I was like that. I didn't really understand what they were saying. I didn't understand the message. So I didn't pretend that I did. I didn't just say, okay, cool, Baba said it. Even if Baba said it, I still didn't understand what was being said. So I said, can you specify? I'm not going to say exactly what it is. I was like, can you specify this? Like, I need more details so I know what he means, because my brain is wanting me to color it this way, but I see how it can actually go left or right. So I don't do any mental gymnastics and twist up the message. Can you please clarify? And they kept talking in a way that was making it even more confusing. So then I asked a specific question. I said, does he mean this? And instead of just saying, yes, that's what he means, or no, he doesn't mean that. Well, it sounds like what it sounds like, yeah, it sounds like that's what. So I said, well, can you go back and get more information on that? Because it sounds like you need more information. All right. So people play the little word games. All right. And then you ask for clarity, you know. And it's not to say Baba didn't say this or didn't say that. It's just like, don't pretend that you get it and you don't. If you really don't get it, then you really don't. Then you ask some questions, inquire more. All right. Because some people, they mix the message up. Sometimes you'll mix the message up. Some people outright lie. And some people, they are telling a message. But it's your fault for not getting the clarity if you really don't get it. All right. Or in anything. I'm using Bob as an example, just in anything. All right. So read this Za'am religion of language, Lahaj language. You don't fully Natuk speak or Fahum understand the Hadab culture behind it. Look at this. Thy way, not mine, O Lord. What does it say? Without vowels. His way, or his way, not my way. Word games. 521. You can't use Muslim, Islam, As-salam, alaikum, or Allah. Or Allah. Abarui, or Arabic. Names then depend on Englishui, English translations of your book of Hadayan guidance. Munuapu Nuapians, we must help our own people, or we must help our people, get them away from the liars. Put on your Hafud guard and be rightly guarded, for they have lied to them, have their followers lying, conspirators and blasphemies by their wicked works. 523. They will be revealed that they don't really know what they claim to know, nor are they really chosen to lead. I had two people who was telling me something about Baba, and I'm using that as an example, the games that I played, but the person was telling me something about Baba, and they said they claimed to know Baba. They said, I know Baba because such and such and such. And I was like, okay, I never claimed to know Baba. All right. Same way a person shouldn't claim to know me. Like, I know because Baba, he said, this is the reason why I said I don't claim to know Baba. Because Baba relates to people based on who they are. All right. So I know what's being shown to me, and that's true with anybody. All right. So the reality is that you've mastered Baaba's mind. All right. You mastered all there is to master. So all right, I'm not going to trap myself by making such a claim. Because in reality is that you may tell me something and there might be something about your connection that you may want to share with me. And I didn't know that. I thank you for sharing, you know. Even for my mom, sometimes I might run into one of her friends, and then I start hearing stories, and I'm like, wow, I I know my mom is mine, So that's the reality in general. So when people claim to know what they don't, and then they try to hold something, and I'm like, why are you trying to hold something over my head that I never claimed to have? All right. I'm using it as an example. It's about power and control. All right. So they will be revealed that they don't really know what they claim to know, nor are they really chosen to lead. Many Black leaderships preach for years that whites are a race of devils and cannot be Jaduda reformed, evil and wicked by fatal nature, that the Makmam Salah Black race is God's, or Allah is Katata Zazaz, physical man born in the year 1891 in Arabia, that there is no spook or spirit, Allah or gods. Then, as they get Kadar or older or age, and no death is soon, and they taught there is no Anak spiritual life after Mawat's death. All this can be found in the Safa book, The Message to the Black Man in America. This was the divine teaching of the messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Until the day he crossed over, he stood by these facts and did not change. Yet, after him, things seemed to change slowly. The teachings slowly changed and are changing to Orthodox Islam, changing teachings about the devil, as well as change Allah in person to Almighty the guide. Only a play on words on black, a play on words on back of the newspaper that was founded by Malcolm X. Even from Muhammad speaks to the final call, and more about Jesus and the Bible. This is a natural fear as one who was enslaved for 400 years and put their hearts, Christian religion of fear of death and hell's fire. So many Black leaders change back to Muksasu Christian as they age. All right. So Baaba's explaining the psychology of the resistance to accepting the facts, because it all goes back to fear. So fear has you running back to your very oppressor, because now you're like, you know what, I need Jesus, or whatever the case is, or whatever that spirit, spook, God that you denounced at some point. You run right back as these leaders age, and then they take the congregation back with them. All right. Truth is truth. You cannot reform the devil. Hold on to the rope. Uphold what you were taught in your original darasat, studies, and safahats, books, and don't let them change you. I was very surprised. I saw Louis Farrakhan. I saw his grandchild, his son's wife. They might not claim she's a Caucasian, but she looks very Caucasian. And then the grandbaby looks like a Caucasian. So now it's all right, to go back to the devil, all right, have devil grandchildren. All right. So 533. As I did not let them change me while in prison, I held on to what wu-sabat teaches. All right. So don't let them change you. Fears will come up, natural fears. Hold on to the rope of facts, because there's no amount of faith that's going to save you. Faith doesn't change the facts. So it's about your fate, not faith. That's what Bible explains. For so many people, they default back to faith because it's been programmed in them for 400 plus years. All right. To default back to some spook god, and they go back submitting their divinity right back over again. So Baabaa says that despite all that, hold on to the facts, hold on to the rope. And with what Baabaa's facing, he said that he didn't default from the facts. He held on to it. So you do the same. All right. So as I did not let them change me while in prison, I held on to what wu-sabat teaches. Do the right thing and uphold your messenger in what is found in the midrashats, lessons, and books. Hold on to Paa Taraq, the truth. The black race is God. All right. So Baabaa is also putting this in print because he said that once he transitions as well, they're going to also do the same thing to his information. It's already being done. All right. He talks about the distortions that's going to happen, and it's done slowly and subtly at first. And then if we allow it, you'll notice that it would be a totally different thing. All right. And that's what some people are doing. So this whole sacred, that's why I called out one of these things, the sacred masculine, what was it? The divine masculine doctrine of the haplogroup, why haplogroups, and why that makes the man. And I was like, that can easily be preached by one of the invading groups that's taking over another group. All right. Because now you're holding on to the legacy of possibly, let's just say, a rapist. All right. There's nothing divine about that. And then you're going to further subjugate and then divide the people. And you're going to cause this whole, it's just somebody wanting to be a successor so bad. All right. Because in reality, there are some wives that are better than other wives to have. Not all the haplogroups are the same. All right. So now you create a complex and division between the people, whereas the mitochondria, all right, is all linked together. All right. So all women can be brought back to the same ancestor because they found that mitochondria links to all back. That's why. And also the shape of it. The shape of the mitochondria is a circle of mitochondrial DNA. And for that reason, it doesn't get scrambled. All right. So you can put new information. You can actually liberate the whole people. So whatever is coming through that. And that's the information center. All right. Because the mitochondrial DNA, you have mitochondrions in the mitochondrial DNA. And mitochondrions deal with the energy and the powerhouse of the cell and the information. All right. Telling the cell what to do. All right. So you can have these components, and then the mitochondria can give messages. All right. So that's where the real reformation. So that's just a slight distortion. What you really see is being pushed in there. All right. So don't let people trick you and twist the little subtle things. It seems subtle because it's scientific, because they're saying haplogroups, and oh, that sounds pretty good. All right. So now you go do the homework on it then. All right. And where all these haplogroups are being traced to. And then realize that a lot of black men in America don't even have African haplogroups. All right. I'm thinking of Lenny Kravitz. To me, Lenny Kravitz is a very attractive man. For example, black man. His father's Caucasian. His mom is black. But when you look at him, he just looks like a typical American black man. All right. He would not have a haplogroup from an African, so what's so divine about that? All right. Let's just say he has a haplogroup from the Draconian constellation. There's nothing divine about that. All right. So that's somebody that's playing with the information, all right, to take you back, and that's an oppressor's doctrine, actually. So hold on to the Paa Taraq, the truth of black race is God. Pa Mudamu, the Adamites, by way of mixing with sons of Elohim, became wicked and evil. Every thought of their mind in Genesis chapter 6, verses 5 reads, "And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Can't be reformed." And the word Allah is no more than an Arabic for deity, also found in Hebrew. Same name in the book of Daniel, Hebrew Strong's number 426. You see Elah for God, the same Renan name or attribute of Allah. In Daniel chapter 3, verses 28 reads, "Then Nebuchadnezzar spoke and said, Blessed be the God," all right, which is really saying Elah, 426, all right, "of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who hath sent his angels and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word and yielded their bodies, and they may not serve nor worship any god except their own God." The same deity, only the Orthodox mistranslation says he is unseen. In Quran chapter 2, verses 3. "Who believe in the unseen are steadfast in prayer and spend out of what we have provided for them." When the Arabic word means is not unseen, it's absent, not present right now. All right. So the Arabic word that's being used is Bilgabi, or Balgabi. All right. So Baba, he speaks the Arabic. So he said that doesn't mean unseen, it means absent. All right. So if I move from the camera, all right, I'm unseen, but it's the trick of the word. I just move. All right. So I'm just absent. All right. So these beings, they come and go, they check, they walk around. All right. And that's how they turned it into spookism. Absence, not visible, unseen yet absent, as you read about these women's husbands. In Quran chapter 4, verses 34 reads, "Men are in charge of women by rights of what Allah has given one over the other, and what they spend for maintenance from their wealth. So righteous women are devoted obedience, guarding in the husband's absence of what guarding in the husband's absence what Allah would have them guard. But those wives from whom you fear arrogance, first advise them, then if they persist, forsake them in bed, and finally strike them. But if they obey you once more, seek no means against them. Indeed, Allah is ever exalted and guarded." All right. So Baba gave that example to show that it's the same word being used again, Bilgabi, all right, for absence. All right. So when they refer to Allah as an absent God or unseen God, all right, they don't use a different word when the husbands leave, that the wives should be obedient. All right. So that's the same exact word used for absence. 541. Ask yourself, why play on words in translation? As it says, Allah is absent, not visible, unseen, unseeable. Just as those women's husbands are absent. So Allah was here and left. Quran chapter 2, verses 29. It is He who hath created you for all things that are here on earth. Moreover, He designed comprehended for the heavens. For He gave orders and perfection to the seven firmaments. And all things He hath perfect knowledge. It says Allah created for you all of that which is on the Taha earth. Then He rose Himself to Pahahat's heavens. So He was on earth and then rose up into Patatat, skies, or heavens. Hatatat, skies, or heavens. All right. So Quran chapter 10, verses 3 reads, Indeed, you, Lord, is Allah, who created the heavens, and the earth is 6 days, and then established himself above the throne, arranging the matter of his creation. There is no intercessor except after his permission. That is Allah, your Lord, so worship him. Then will you not remember? And then Quran chapter 41:11 reads, Moreover, he comprehended in his design the sky, and it had been as smoke. He said to it and to the earth, Come ye together, willingly or unwillingly. They said, We do come together in willing obedience. Where is he according to the Quran? Sabatat's Sirius star system. Quran chapter 53, verse 49. That he is the Lord of Sirius, the mighty star. All right. So that's it's saying a specific place in that. All right, a specific star system. All right, in the Quran. All right. 545. That is what it says, and that is what they try to hide because they can't explain it. Sawab kamun sawab, truth is truth. So just as the book of Genesis or Torah says in Genesis chapter 6 verses 2, sons of God came down to earth and had sex with Adamite women. Gods came to Taha earth. And Genesis chapter 11 verses 7, the Lord came down to earth to see what they were doing. All right, and it reads, Go to, let us go down and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. Yahweh came down from above to Makab Taha, planet Earth, in Genesis chapter 11, verses 1 through 8. The Lord appeared. That is what was seen by Abraham. So he and 2 angels came down to earth to kill people. The Elohim or El, Yahweh, comes down into flesh form, katato, physical. So the Quran supports that recorded fact. So they're Elohim. So they're El Elohim. Yahweh is the same Allah, Allahat, Rab, was standing on Makab Ta'ah, planet Earth, then departed upward to Sabatat, Sirius star system, to sit on his throne. That is what the Bible and Quran confirms. God came in human form, in flesh and blood. And also is said about Mumamu, humans as gods, in Psalms 82, verses 6, and also John chapter 10, verses 34 through 35. So even Jesus, a son of God or El, says, You are God's children of the Most High God. Don't let anyone fool you in these last days. You are the Qaradu, children of Muntaru, overseers, as Nagar Nadu. Negro is Munwapu. Munwapu Nuapians, you have the divine way, way of Wunuap. It has come down to you, it has come down for you a salvation, a renewal. The truth is now revealed. It is now driving away deceit and deception. (557) The Tahali Hadayo, rightly guided. Taruk, way, to guide all who have been led astray. Our race, of our race, once lost tribe, now found the Tapal world over. The time is fast approaching. All right. So our people all over the world, we have family. We're everywhere. All right. And deception has touched the minds everywhere and the hearts everywhere. So no matter where you are on the world, all right, You have wu-sabat to dispel any deception in any form that it may take. All right. Because what is it? Truth is truth. All right. You learn how to get to a fact. All right. 558. Surely deceit will be retracted, and the Karadu children of the Laben Noir, the white light of chaos, fading away, as the Son of Righteousness comes with healing in his rings, the green light, or Qadir Nawar. And many who cannot stand Fatal Fatah, natural nature, will die off. That's why we're getting at the opportunity of reformation. All right? Because a lot of things that we did, whenever you go against the facts, natural nature, all right, you're going against natural nature, and there's repercussions. All right? And we are given the opportunity of that's why Baba is the reformer. All right, because when you go against nature, it deforms the mind, it deforms the spirit, it deforms the very genes. All right, so we have the opportunity as a genetic doctrine to reorder the facts, and we conform ourselves to the facts. All right, we don't take the facts and twist them around to suit ourselves. No, we take ourselves to suit nature, and that's why our responsibility is to respond. That's in the science of wu-sabat. All right. And what does that mean? All right. When you respond to a fact, all right, you create newer pathways. For example, you create, you restructure the very structure itself, and you put yourself back into the image of natural nature. So now you can withstand the sun cycle. You can withstand standing toe to toe with natural nature, because why? You're one and the same. All right. So that's what we're getting. We're getting the opportunity to do that. It's healing time. All right, for those of us who are taking time to heal. All right, because it's in our nature. Both things, unnatural things, made its way into our nature. All right, that's what we're fighting through. All right. So many who cannot stand Fatal Fatah, natural nature, will die off. No one ever escaped their judgment when your time comes to go. Your end time, final hour, will not be given 1 moment longer. The exact moment starts, you're falling away. In the case from 4000 BC to 2000 AD, that the 6,000 years given to the seed of the Adam, a seed of Adam to have Tabdur, dominion. And that 6,000 years ended in the year 2000 AD. And now Fatal Fatah, natural nature, has begun to heal the macabre planets of the cursed seed of Mobrasor-U, or lepers, and their many evils. And they, of their race, who do not understand, will be in utter disarray. All right. So as you see, as of 2000, their unity falling apart. They're infighting. They're turning on each other. All right. And they're going to be dying by their own, by tools of their own hands. All right. The planet is in healing mode. All right. So many of us who have picked up that unnatural nature, if we can't heal, we'll have to go as well. All right. So we have the opportunity to heal. All right. From the many things that has afflicted us in our story. All right. And to work it out, to untangle yourself. All right. From that unnatural nature. If you can. All right. If you can't, it just, when your time comes, you'll go too. All right. So the rising Shamash sun shines brightly across the entire human passageway, touches all races of humanoids, yet the last race are too light, too weak to withstand this change, and their bashar human flesh will burn. All right. recent, like not too long ago, actually, I felt a burning in my skin not too long. It was very interesting. It happened, but you couldn't see it, but I felt it. And that's what I was like, okay, it's time to whatever. It was like, to me, it was a cue to put something in order. But what ended up happening was it was during, it was a lot of changes. But I happened to be on a flight. So I was like, okay, the flight was different. And I was on the flight during it was a solar eclipse. I think it was last year or the year before. Yeah, it had to be last year. And it was a solar eclipse. And I was like, and people were saying ever since that solar eclipse, the sun wasn't the same. But it was like that day. And I had to put a special cream on my skin and everything calmed down. But then I just been getting some signals. It's time to, like, it's time. Like, I feel like it's time for something. All right. So it's like another thing Bob always says, don't be weak. All right. So you have to be strong and strengthen your genetics, strengthen your DNA, do things that's going to make you healthy. All right. So I was like, with all my melanin, but because I was like, I wasn't even in the sun, but it was like some type of burning I felt. Something was coming out of my system. And I mean, you couldn't see it, but I felt it. All right. So, too weak to withstand this change, and their basar human flesh will burn. 565. Yet those with Rawen Qasar dark skin who live beneath the Shamash sun have no kawif fear of this change, for it is not targeting you. Yet those who live in Tagul ignorance shall see the truth as a shaft of pain for their love of the thin-skinned pale race, as they trusted they were so sakamal, powerful that they would never fall. All right. So a lot of us would be hurting for the Caucasian because we were so convinced they would never fall. All right. So the ones that are the Caucasians, you're going to start seeing them die off in various ways. Those of us who live in our dark skin, those with dark skin, Baba put dark skin. Some of us don't have dark skin anymore. All right. But those with dark skin, you have enough sun heat genes, it's not targeting you. All right. So you have nothing to fear. All right. However, you could turn your genetics off by habits you have. So you can have a skin that has the potential to work. It doesn't mean it's going to work. And I'm saying that because as a person who specializes in skin, what you eat and the things that you consume, you can make your skin unresponsive. All right. So you want to also don't take for granted, like, oh, I have dark skin, so I could live an unnatural life. The reality is that you can make your skin act unnatural, even though it had all the potential to serve you. All right. So that's just a little warning. All right. Yet those who live in Takul ignorance shall see the truth as a shaft of pain for their love of the thin-skinned pale race, as they trusted they were so sakamal, powerful, they would never fall. Yet their Wakut time has come, and those who live in their Shaba image will fall along with them. All right. So those of us who live in their image, we're falling along with them. It's not time to be going and bleaching your skin. It's not time to be processing your hair. You saw how they have a class action lawsuit right now that's linking uterine fibroids to hair relaxers. All right. So what are fibroids? It's distorted cells. All right. So you're distorting your hair, and then in turn it's distorting your womb. All right. So it's like there's an unnatural, for every reaction there's an equal reaction. All right. So if you want a natural reaction, you should do natural things. If you want an unnatural reaction, continue to do unnatural things. All right. And while the earth is healing, you may have to go out with the unnatural things that are being removed. All right. Because you have unnatural thinking. All right. And then you're going to distort your natural body and all its protections. All right. So this is the reason why it's not to go and judge people and condemn them. This is why we educate our people, because a lot of times we're abusing ourselves because we don't know. All right. So that's how you share fact. All right. A lot of us, we share things and we're just unlikable know-it-alls. All right. And we have to learn how to share more with love and fact. All right. So the fact of the matter is that there are a lot of our sisters and brothers who bleach their skin. They wear contacts and they don't understand the harm. All right. So they start understanding the way they put together and the way nature works. And you share that fact. And then afterwards, when however the person takes the fact or don't take the fact, that'll be their business. And you'll see where they end up at the end. All right. But you also are probably working through something yourself. All right. Probably, more than likely, right? So, yet their Wakut time has come, and those who live in their Shabbat image will fall along with them. Then even the hardest doubters will then understand, weep and cry at what is revealed. All right. So the truth is coming out. There's some people that they can't accept the facts because they're so in love with this Caucasian race. They can't accept what nature, they can't accept nature for what it is. But when everything plays out, it's going to break their hearts. All right. They're going to be cried. So the truth is coming out, and it's going to come out. All right. For all to see. All right. So even the hardened doubters will then understand, weep and cry at what is revealed. And they will say, it was all true, so very true, yet we did not accept the sawab truth. As for those who obscure the way by covering their patarat, their divine eyes, patarat. So your divine eye is called a patar. A patar. And this is called a miptar. It's a thing that we put up there in your divine eyes, and so you're cutting yourself up. Now you can hear again, okay? You can hear no God except Ptah. All right. So you're no longer a God. All right. So the ones who are open, that would be a mukta. All right. Because somebody was trying to bring me back to male worship. I'm like, Ptah, and it's only one God. So explain this, because he's very Muslim. And people keep trying to recruit me, all right, and control me. That's how I feel. People keep trying to control me. Just leave me alone. But uh so I was like, let's read Paa Taraq, the Stargate, and then broke all that down. He didn't show up to read that. Because it's he's like, what about the penis? What about this? And what about all that? And the reality is that you can be a mukta, all right? Or do you obscure the facts? Do you close your divine eyes? All right. So there's no God with anybody who closes their divine eye. They're no longer God. You give up your divinity. All right. But it's people they subscribe. And that's why Baabaa said that the children is really, that's why wu-sabat and wu-nawap is really for the children, because the reality is that a lot of us came in as Christians, Muslims, and the reality is we translate the meanings of wu-sabat back to English in our minds, or back to Islam, back to Arabic in our minds. And the reality is that we sometimes color our doctrine with our Caucasian minds, with our Christian minds, with our Muslim understanding. All right. When in actuality, there's really no concept. That's why we say Nadar. Because God takes us back to goods. That takes us back to Germany. All right. So So it's like we're kind of between two worlds, and we see how we sometimes can distort things. All right. So for those who obscure the way by covering their patarats, that's their divine eyes, so that they may not discern the truth of the way offered them to not discern the facts of taqaq, faith, sawab, truth from kadabat, lies. They only demonstrate their enormous arrogance, yet not for much longer. All right. So there's a lot of people, it's called cognitive dissonance. You can give them a fact and they will do a mental gymnastic to explain that fact away so they can continue to live in their ignorance. All right. They don't want to give up their faith. You give them a fact, they will explain that fact away and not be able to see it because it distorts their faith. All right. You tell them the truth and it distorts their reality that they don't want to let go of. Their reality is based on lies, and they will do a mental gymnastic that's called cognitive dissonance. All right. So as for those who are plugging their ears with their fingers with such mites, they have absolutely condemned their own Ba'ahu souls out of sight and are undoubtedly lost from the purity of truth, living a lie, yet refuse to listen to the actual facts when presented to them, avoiding all Sadek Hadayan, true guidance. So when I was being confronted with something, I was like, yeah, just come and join in the reading. Just like we would just read the scroll together. And the brother, he said he don't feel comfortable. One brother, he said he don't feel comfortable uh with the sitting with my camera up. I was like, well then just listen to just listen to the recording, put the phone down or don't look at it. Just hear it. So that's why I also share the audio now. I share for the person who doesn't want to look at me, they could just listen to audio. All right. He sounds too distracting. All right. But the reality is it had nothing to do with me. The reality is that he doesn't want his illusions uh to be poked apart for himself. He likes the reality he lives in. All right. So he's scapegoating his what do you call when you don't want something? Refusal. He's scapegoating his refusal on me. All right. All right. So 572. As for those of our race of people, as as for those also of our race of people who have gone astray after knowing wu-sabat, it is now disclosed to Fasor explain our way concerning the difference in truth and fiction, faith and faith, facts and belief. All right. They will come to know that they were being misguided by religions of other than self and kind. I, Baabaa Yaanun, the master Yaanun, only have this to say. Why did you trust all others, not of your own Salah race? Yet you don't Saduk trust me, or obey what I show and prove is your true cultural way of life. I remember Baba talking about something I heard him talking on in some class. He said, thing about y'all Negroes, or whatever he called us. I think he said Negroes. He said that the spookier, the more interested that you are. Something that you can't confirm, you just sit there and listen to it. But something real that you can go and confirm, you're not interested in. All right. So he said, y'all love to be spooked out. All right. And that's true because when it comes to like the breath book, he wrote that in there. He said, my only fear, or he used the word concern. He either used fear or concern. My only concern or fear is that because of the simplicity of what's being shared in the book, you won't value it. This particular book, the breath book, that you'll overlook it as unimportant because it's so simple and so practical. And I mean, I kind of did that when I did read the book, and then I came back to it maybe years later, and then I was like, wow, this is my favorite book, because I could confirm everything in that book. But now a person could tell you all about Inky and Enlil, and they could tell you all about Anu's craft and how it looks, something they never seen, but they can't even tell you. Like one person, he was breathing through his mouth, and he could tell you all about the inside of a craft, and he said, I know that's that. And I'm like, but the things that you can confirm, the things that you overlook. The things that you have to have a certain level of belief, you're more interested in that. And that's as an example, all right? Because there's things that is right there, people can touch and confirm for themselves. And he said, us Negroes are not interested in that, all right? Give us something to believe in. We want that. And I'm not saying that Anu and all that's not real. I'm just saying I didn't confirm that yet. So I'm like, okay, Baabaa, I know about the story and I'll hold on to it and maybe it will confirm. But as of now, those details are belief for me. I've confirmed the breath book. I know that. So I know the difference between, I don't mistake what Baabaa knows for what I know. All right. But I know he's sharing new things. All right. And I take time to go and confirm what I can. All right. So that's the difference. And you need to know that for yourself. All right. So I, Baabaa Yaanun, the master Yaanun, only have this to say: why did you trust all others and not your own race? Yet you don't, Saduk, trust me or obey what I show and prove is your true cultural way of life. You prefer to live a lie and others' cultures beside your own. The pale-skinned race, or Paa Taraq, the Caucasoids, has dug deep inside the earth shelters to run into and hide from nature's changes, as they hid in the Caucasus Mountains years ago, inside the caves of Turkey's Cappadocia, called the Renkua. And they remained in those caves back then for 600 years. So again, these days, they have dug holes in Taha earth, and they call it underground bunkers. Yet those are the caves and hillsides again. So they sound an alarm for their race on a tone to signal you, Nagad Nadu. A signal you, Nagad Nadu, Negroids cannot hear. All right. And they have canine DNA who hear tones you can't Savoy hear. All right. So now this is another fact Bob is showing about them. All right. You're put together differently. They're put together differently. All right. And they're being alarmed in tones that you can't hear, that they can hear. All right. And those of you who have mixed seeds, you also cannot hear their tone, their frequency, unless you're pure Caucasoid, Caucasoids. All right. Unless you are pure Caucasoids with the new silver eyes. So you will be deserted by those Caucasoids you loved and you mixed with. Be you mixed a child or chose to mix fluids, you will not hear their alarm to go back underground, running from the Shamash sun. All right. So there's certain facts, like Baabaa also said years ago for Trump's second term. All right. He said this at least 8 years ago because it was during Trump's first term. But Baabaa had put an update saying that in Trump's second term, that he has been tasked to build the temple for Nanar. All right. But as you study, he didn't give all the details in that update. But as you study the scrolls, you could figure out what that temple is. Okay, Nanar, he's supposed to come back. Well, actually, according to this, I think he came back in 13 or something like that. And he's here currently. And then it's like a temple, then you know it's an altar. And what's the purpose? All right, the altar. Because they have been what's that word called? Abandoned. And it's to get the draconians back here. All right. Because it's like, hey, we still you still need us, and we can get you more food, we can get you more people. All right. So now you start seeing a kind of confirmation. I mean, I said that to say all that 8 years ago, Baabaa had said that, and then that's why I was so sure that that Trump is going to get the second term consecutively. I didn't consider like I'm like, okay, maybe Trump isn't gonna do that, but now you see he has another term now, so he's in that term, so he's been tasked in this term. And so now I'm like, that makes sense because he has Elon Musk as like his right hand man right now. And Elon Musk is trying to get to Mars himself. And he does a lot with space travel. And it's just a whole weird bunch. So I'm like, the facts sometimes they come out. He said you may not be able to confirm this now, but in time you'll see. So now you're hearing about these Caucasoids with the silver eyes, that they can hear certain tones, all right, because they also have more Caucasoid, I mean, they have more of the canine DNA. And the mixed seeds, they're not going to be able to hear it. They're going to be abandoned when these Caucasoids ring their alarm to go to the underground bunkers that they've already built, all right. And then you see in Antarctica, they already have some underground bunkers. I was watching this program where they said that they have every single seed as far as the stem cells of pretty much everything you could think of is in that bunker. All right, in Antarctica. You can just look it up. It's on the History Channel, something like that. One of those science channels. All right. So it might sound a little bit crazy or out there, but that's why Baabaa says, don't believe me, go check it out. All right. And there was another tone that they were showing because how people's ears can hear different spectrums from each other. There's tones that we hear that Caucasians don't hear, for example. But they also had a tone that they said children could hear that the adults couldn't. So they were thinking of putting that tone on so that when the children can go home and they can have an adult's time. All right. So you can check out that tone too, because the structures in the air start changing, and that's how it was explained. All right. So 582. They will not warn you, as many of them don't know and are not welcome amongst their own, because they exchange fluids with other races, so they will not be allowed to enter the underground of the Mubrasor-u, the lepers, and will burn by Paa Taraq, the sun's rays. So Baabaa is telling them, like, the average Caucasian that you see or what you think is a Caucasian is not a Caucasian. All right. But they still don't have enough melanin to protect them against the sun either. All right. But the ones with who are not mixed, they're going to sound a tone for just themselves. And they're going to abandon, all right, the ones who's not suitable for nature, but they're not welcome with them either. All right. They have received 583. I have revealed this to you in 1970 AD when I opened up the seal or lock, the right knowledge, the right wisdom, the right understanding that reveals the right overstanding that leads to sound right reasoning, the true way and guidance. They sealed it by Dinil or Dinya Allah, religion of the deity Daniel. The words were closed up and sealed in Daniel chapter 12, verses 4. Now reread Daniel chapter 12, verses 1 through 13. All right. So go back and read that. All right. Now, that's Daniel, if you want to write it down, Daniel chapter 12, verses 1 through 13. So now, as the year 1970 AD, I opened and closed up and unsealed. I opened the closed up. I opened the closed up and unsealed the words with right knowledge. You have it now in Paa Taraq, the way, and Hakak al-Hakakat, actual facts. We now expose them and their Mudyad Mutatalu, extraterrestrial deities they worship and offer flesh and demand blood to for 6,000 years. And now Malachi chapter 4 verses 2 is upon them, and those who have their mask on, who live in their Shabbat image of the beast in Revelations chapter 13 verses 1 through 18. I have revealed the truth to you, broke their sealed up broke their sealed, shut up doctrines, taught you each school that you will be full of hakimdom or wisdom, and will not be fooled nowadays by none of them, or those who teach and preach their doctrine as religions, to keep and kept the hidden meanings from you in their Kadesh secret societies. Alright? So he didn't just take away, he explained away the spell of those religions. He explained it away so that you won't be fooled anymore. Alright? No matter what form it takes. Alright? Because they keep reformulating that same doctrine to you. They keep reformulating it. All right. Now you'll be able to recognize it in any way that is presented. All right. No matter if it's a Caucasian presenting it or a misguided Nagad Nadu like you. All right. You'll be able to see it in any way it comes now. All right. So 592. I have revealed the actual facts as Wunuwa into the Ababat hearts of those that Pa Mundaru, the overseers, singled out from birth. Watch them over their lives. All right. So there are some. That's why I said Baba said he knows some people. He knows before you even know him. All right. So I have revealed the actual facts as Wunuwab into the Ababats, hearts of those that Pa Mundaru, the overseers, singled out from birth. Watch them over their lives. This I have taught this proclamation in Zabur writing, while Pa Mundaru, the overseers, were carefully observing. I recited truth for your hearing before your discerning eye, and even echoed it in your hearts. Then I placed in your hands that its powerful balach message may cleanse your mukwan being and attune your akatat, your etheric body, gave you the tones, FAC, the power to break the mental bondage and usher you into tatmum, perfection, by way of sound right reasoning. Perchance you will wake up from the long abysmal Hajj Shalel Nawam, the spell of sleep, Leviathan, Kingu, and recognize your true nature. As for those who have enmity within you, listen and understand. Ashuk, divine love, is our top priority. Therefore, if you can speak the Lahaj language of the Tapal world and the literacy articulation with brilliance, yet do not consider Ashuk divine love, your speech is for naught. All right. It would have been preferable that you kept silent. All right. So it's just saying that for those of us with enmity, anger, or whatever the case is, animosity, All right. We have to understand and consider Ashuk as our top priority. All right. Because even if we are so articulate with the language and we speak great, all right, if there's no divine love, it's better that we kept quiet. All right. It would have been more preferable that you kept silence. If you are wise, endowed with much wisdom of this tapal world, peering through the supernatural and performing miracles, yet without Ashuk divine love, you will still lack integrity. Therefore, is any goodness residing in you? All right. So there's people that stand up in front of you and they do good things anyway in front of you, but it's not really being done with true Ashuk. Some people just do things because of cameras in their face. All right. I mean, that's not for me to determine, but that's for us to determine about ourselves. All right. So it's all about integrity. All right. For in Hakakati or reality, you are only pretending to know the way to Sahih Hadayan, right guidance. Even when you distribute your wealth on good deeds and sacrifice your very lives in service to others, without Ashuk divine love, it would be as if you have neither contributed anything nor made yourself a sacrifice in service to others. All right. So sometimes people help others, they have an ulterior motive. All right. And they give a lot of money, and it's not really from a place of divine love. It would be as if they never gave anything and they never did any service. All right. Ashuk divine love is patient with our own people, tender towards the impoverished, nakur, respect, and help for our mukdalu, elders, upholding Paa Taraq, the way to Sadek Kadayan, true guidance. Ashuk is unconditional divine love, does not embrace kaneni or jealousy, demonstrate pride or thawat's ego, or practice aggression. All right. So these are things to clean yourself out. There's breathing exercises to help you overcome jealousy in the breath book. All right. Ashuk, unconditional divine love, treats everyone kindly. It does not get upset quickly or seek its personal desires frequently. All right. So you want to consider what's best for us all, not just making things comfortable just for you. All right. Make it comfortable for the all. And then you're considered in the all. So it will be comfortable for you in turn as well. But some people, it's about their own personal desires frequently, which creates an imbalance. All right. And then you end up hurting yourself anyway. All right. So Ashuk divine love is contented and does not contemplate vengeful thoughts concerning others. All right. So at times like this, there's a lot of injustice on this planet. All right. Don't concern yourself with that. All right. Don't ruminate like that wasn't fair what that person did. Okay. So don't contemplate vengeful, like when I see them, oh, what I'm gonna do is this. Because you're further just distorting your being. Take that time to just heal. All right. Be content and happy with your existence and who you are, and you can sleep and die peacefully. All right. Ashuk divine love does not revel over oppression, yet over freedom and justice. All right. So there's a lot of things. I'm not pretending I have everything all figured out. There's things I'm working on all the time. All right. But that's why this group started, for this specific 608 reason. Do not revel over oppression, all right, yet over freedom and justice. Because as far as my eyes can see, I felt like people was oppressing others based on information. And I'm like, okay, the average person, I could tell we're not reading, or we just don't have time, or we forgot something, and then others take advantage, all right? And it's like, no one should be sounding deep because they're a good talker or whatever. And then they take advantage and they scam people and diction and all this other stuff that's going on, all right? And hurting each other and hurting themselves, all right? So freedom and justice, all right? So you can tell people the truth, and then they can exercise more of their will, all right? And then we're all more equipped to win now. We're more equipped to win, all right, because it's about us, all right? Ashuk divine love accepts whatever one's friend and family says as fact, if they are claiming to be Munwapu Nuwapians, yet turns away from those who are Tem Sawamul, untruthful, and lost to the Sadek Hadayan, true guidance. That is long suffering and eternal across the eons of time. All right. So the thing is, this brother or sister, they say they wu-sabat, they say they Nuwapian. You accept them as such until they show you otherwise. When they show you otherwise, you have the right to turn away from them. Baba gives more, goes more into that in the what is it called? The elders scroll. All right, the 24 elder scroll. All right, so um, your Sabian brother or sister says something, okay, it's truthful. If you go look into it and it turns out it's a lie, you have a right to turn away from them. All right. 611. Ashuk divine love will last triumphantly. Ashuk divine love is Wu Nuwap, Pahadayan, the guidance. Sawab Karun Sawab. Truth is truth. And that concludes our scroll. All right. So you see from beginning to beginning. All right. And then we'll end by saying, Pawut, behind the central door is the way to Yanun's soul. Behind the central door is the way to Yanun's soul. Abtur Paa Taraq la ye rawuk em Yanun. Abtur Paa Babab la ye hu. Now repeat this when in need for him to hear or help you. All right. So what's the key to this? The key to this is integrity, a clear conscience. All right. Your divine open. All right. Because if you close your divine eye by doing vengeful things and removing yourself from the natural protections and the natural guidance, you won't be able to hear. All right. The guidance from Pandaru. All right. From Pahuts, all. You forgot your place in all. All right. You're cut off. And now you're living by instinct only. All right. Baabaa Yaanun, Kawun, Yatoy, Tarakum. The master teacher is coming your way. Ashuk. And that concludes our scroll. All right. So, and here's the back of the scroll. There's a sovereign people. All right. So, does anybody have anything that they like to say about the scroll or in general? Anything that it made you think about, or any questions you may have, clarity on anything, feel free to unmute. All right. So, oh yes, I see someone.
A couple of points you mentioned were really edifying. So when you mention about people staying in their bad ways because they just want to confirm their bias and continue with their wrong actions. I wanted to say, like it's something I've been facing a lot. Like you would maybe like when you really young, I learned to learn mistakes from what other people have done, and it helped me kind of stay in the right path. I'll say it that way. And when I'll be sharing like this information with someone, and I'll like maybe give them an information towards a question they were having, they'll just use like an excuse, like they'll say, "That's how I am. That's how I was born. So I think I cannot change. That's how I was made." And that's something that has been really frustrating me because really early, well, I would say maybe like 10, 11, I started learning, taking a different path. Like if I see someone doing something and it doesn't turn out well, I'm not like, that's not a path to follow. So this has been something that has been really frustrating. And I forgot the other point, but yeah, this point really stuck with me. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, Tawata for sharing that. Yeah, it could be frustrating. It reminds me of like a story that I was that I had mentioned when I was telling this lady about like these helpful herbs that just helps to like balance a lot of things out. And then she was just saying she did so much drugs that it's not going to be like anything. So after a certain age, she said this is just who she is, and it is what it is. But it's like it can be frustrating, but then you just learn to just uh share something with someone. If they don't accept it, then you move on, you know. Um and then they may accept it later. Or maybe they may accept it from someone else. Like it's not always your tone that the person needs to hear too, you know. But sometimes things work together as well. So and then also people need the space for life to play out for themselves. Because there's certain things Baba had told me and I didn't really understand at the time, so I just ignored it. And then later on, like life came full circle and I was like, oh, that's what you meant. So, you know, there's so many layers, and a person may say, oh, this is how life is, and they may just have a different, you know, they just may need to experience a few things sometimes.
Yeah, that I think you mentioned the fact that I think it's a fact I don't like a lot, like the fact about someone, because I face it a lot. Like maybe I would advise a friend and the friend would not get what I say because it's coming from me. I don't know, but like what you said about tone, yeah, it's true. And yeah, the other point that came back here, a lot of people here they don't know they're in the wrong because they follow the caucus way, you know. And I'll just give a small example here. Women here, they it seems as if their skincare it's more turned into it has turned into making themselves lighter. Even those who say it's not the case, but you can see from what they are doing because like a lot of women here they use sunscreen. And I'm saying this because even my sister that's a business that she does, and I didn't tell her about it directly, but I sent her a book to read and she didn't read it as usual. And just out of the hunger that all of this has been causing me, I thought, let me take my my distance, So there's a lot of stuff after coming into contact with the facts from the school. They we are not we are very ignorant, and we think we know what we are doing, but we don't. And this will be the cause of a lot of trouble for people. And so it has been really hard for me because I've been obliged to live a very lonely life, and I've been used to lash out on my WhatsApp status, and I think I'll stop because it's not the way of Ashok, So
Right.
I'll stop judging them and I'll continue my journey.
Yeah. And then I noticed that I feel like I'm in certain circles that I have sometimes the loneliness is also the jewels that you needed, because it's not just about their school. You're going through a school, so many layers. And sometimes you could show somebody better than you could tell them. So you shared information verbally, a person isn't interested, and then they might think you're crazy. So you live a certain way. And then later on, the things that they called you crazy about, they may end up coming to you and saying, can you help me with that? If you stay on track, because sometimes a person has to see what that looks like. Like it doesn't make sense to their mind until they could see it. And then you have a testimony of like, this is the outcome that you can have, or if you keep going down this path, this is the outcome you can have. So a lot of the time is that you may have a head start and your company may end up joining you later. And I get a lot of support now that came maybe decades later, like a decade later, because my life unfolding is a testimony of like, oh, maybe you do know something, and because it's like, okay, what's the difference if I eat McDonald's, somebody's young and they're telling you don't eat McDonald's. Y'all both look the same. All right. And they say, oh, you might want to eat more natural. That person ends up being dismissed, and everybody, their peers ignores them. And they feel lonely when it's time to eat because they don't have any company. And then a year, that's not a year, but let's say a decade later, 15 years later, 20 years later, they still look good. They still feel good. And then their peers are falling apart. Some of those same peers ends up coming later and saying, can you tell me what you were sharing to me before? And that's why we have our shook, because a lot of time that's the way life works for a lot of people. And you welcome somebody back when they're ready to correct whatever it is. So that might be a role that you end up playing. But sometimes our egos also make us get offended that how dare you reject me? And when the person's ready to come on board, we're like, you should have came on board when I told you to. And that's not how life works. So
yeah, but after lashing out, like some weeks ago, a colleague of mine and an old friend, they were interested because I talked about how they were totally missing the point, and the master teacher was rotting in jail for why he was innocent and for us. So they were interested, and I shared the scroll with them. So they said they read, and when they will get in tune with the information, they will come into the community here on Telegram. I said I'll share them with. So at least it's a good. No, it wasn't all that bad. Yeah. That's. Thank you.
yeah. I appreciate you sharing that. I think a lot of us could relate, and I guess it teaches us grace, because then you could think about some things was easy for you to grasp and what was difficult for you to grasp. And that you had sometimes some lessons, it takes maturity. Like you might be too immature to embody a certain thing. And then when that genetic explosion goes off for you, then you get it and then you embody it. So, uh, like I've learned grace as well. And I've learned that some of the problems that I had with people wasn't just them rejecting it. Sometimes it's my need to maybe want to control. And like life kind of taught me to just sit back and let cycles play out, let like respect nature to do its thing too. And it's like sometimes you don't always eat from the tree the same day that you plant the seed. Like most of the time that's not the case. So some of those people may end up, waking up in their time because all the every flower doesn't bloom at the same time, or in the same way. I saw her seed on mute Zamaltat.
Right, baby star. Ted, thank you. I'm still working on the language, so I apologize. Um, I'm trying to step out of the silence, and I just want to say that I'm just trying to be honest with myself and just trying to change my life around daily. And I can admit that some people are probably like really deep down in this like beast, but some people are really trying with all their might to get out. And I know there's nothing else but the master teacher's doctrine. And it's like my life is being spent around, when you have actual people like your mother that's, still not setting you right and you're trying to get the right doctrine, it's kind of hard seeing things clearly. So I just would like the start to know that, I'm working on bettering myself to be a part of the community. And a part of my silence is just trying to get on the straight and narrow. And I'm doing that daily. And I just want to thank you for setting an example for women just to stand right and firm on what they're doing. And it just makes me look forward to just being where you are. So thank you.
Tawhat Zamaltat, for being so supportive of yourself. And I mean, it's helpful, to have uh, others who's also working on it. That helps to stand firm because there's so many things that can come up to make us kind of want to abandon, our tasks and goals. And, these are the only things to make us stronger. Like how Baabaa said that he stood firm as well with the actual facts, despite being in prison, and that it's up to us to stay strong as well. So we're all, I mean, the ones of us we're all working on something, and we're going to create that reality for us. So the reality is we're going to have to come together with others who have also taken that time to soul search and, mind your mind for the jewels of your soul. And that's why it's called the purified ones. So it's not called the pure ones. All right. He doesn't call us the pure ones. He calls us the purified ones. So that means that we've all would have been working on something. All right. So, don't feel like you're getting yourself right and to be able to be part of, something. Like the reality is that if you're working to get yourself right, that means that you are making yourself be able to qualify for all those who's also taking the time to work through their own what is that? What's that word I want to use? Like everybody has some type of unseen battle, all right, that they're working to overcome, all right, in themselves. And some of us are facing it and some of us aren't. So sometimes we could feel like we're the worst person in the world as we're working through something. It's like everybody else is, has it together. And it's like, if we're being honest, that's not the reality. All right. So anybody else has anything that this scroll stimulated them to think about, want to share? I'm sure it's going to be a universal thing, even though it feels personal. All right. So with that being, I see Zamal Kamem still.
Rahubat. Thank you very much for the reading on that. I've definitely gotta get a copy of that scroll, you know. Yeah, very deeper than what I thought it would be. But yeah, excellent. That's all I can say. From Baabaa again, I yield.
Tower. Yeah, this is an amazing scroll. I mean, I had it. I might have read a couple pages. Honestly, for some reason, I just didn't read the scroll in its entirety. So we read it together. For me, this was the first time reading it, and it's a very good scroll of upliftment, reminding of who you are, but also to stay grounded. So it feels like keep your feet on the ground, but also remember who you are, you know, and how to reform ourselves to be the best versions of ourselves. So this is just a scroll to remind ourselves and the various challenges that we face, all right, and how to overcome it. So I feel very supported with this scroll as well. I think it's very needed with everything we're facing on this planet. All right. So anybody else that they might have anything they like to share before we wrap up for today? All right. So we'll wrap up for today. I appreciate everybody coming together. All right. There is a YouTube channel. I'm going to start sharing that channel as well. And our next live reading will be on, I'll put it in the chat, our next live reading. So I appreciate everybody who's doing the very best to transform into the best versions of yourselves. You're in good company, and keep doing it. Feel supported. And Ashuk and Wadu.
Wadu.
Ashuk Wadu.